Hey, welcome to Geeks with Kids, the bi-weekly geeky podcast from a parenting point of view. Whoa, that's an old logo. We don't even do the parenting part anymore because there's only some
we
of
did
us.
last week or whatever it was. You did.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I mean, you did. I didn't.
No, but it was a good one because Marcus brought the knowledge of being the dad out. Not me. I don't do that thing anymore. But joining me this week is Dave and Marcus, and we are here to talk about the latest Star Wars show, The Acolyte, the show that's burning up the internet because of controversy and some other stupid shit. Like any female-led TV show, there's obviously people online that are upset about it. But should you be watching it? You, the normal person that's listening to us? We'll find out later today. But like we do every show, we talk about what we're liking right now, what we're currently obsessed with, and yeah, what's good? Dave, what's good?
Well, I guess I should start with the fact that I graduated yesterday from my second college program. While I'm already in my new program, so
I used to have an applause button on here. I don't know where it went. Wait, here it is. Yeah, wait, hey.
That goes for a long time.
That was a long one, yeah. I was gonna fade it out, but I didn't.
Weirdly enough, the thing that gave me more dopamine is I platinumed Helldivers 2 on Tuesday.
I saw that. I was very proud of you.
My friends and I, we were like, wait a minute. We're 3 trophies away from platinum in this game, so we should do it. So we threw on some jump jets and shot each other out of the sky so that we would tumble, because there's a trophy for going ragdoll while using your jump jet.
That's cool.
Yeah. God, Helldivers is so good.
Now you got to get on PC and you can do it all over again. Get all the achievements.
I really want them. I'm hoping that there was that whole thing where they were going to make people log into their PlayStation accounts. And I'm like, well, that should mean we get cross progression, right?
You would think that.
But it never manifested, so.
No.
Companies don't do that shit.
No.
Yeah.
They don't think of.
No. I think we talked about X-Defiant before. X-Defiant has full crossplay across crossplay and cross progression across everything. It's one account.
Doesn't Fortnite also do that?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think Rocket League does now. It didn't used to. They made people unify accounts because that company got bought by Epic. But yeah, anyway, Helldivers 2, still so good. Still so fun. Dive today. Enlist today.
I was doing a vocal class with the Eagle Sweat actress this past week, so that was fun. Nice. So, Marcus, what's good?
God, I wish I could say I was playing some cool video games or something, but just have no idea what's even out anymore and what's going to be good. And but instead, my obsession and my thing that has been awesome, and I just love these things. I've been investing in these Joy Toy Space Marine figurines, and they're just incredibly cool. Like the detail's beautiful, and like the maneuverability on these things is incredible. Like they're just amazing. So I have kind of gone full into Space Wolves theme. So I've ordered a bunch of things, and I got a couple of Ultramarines coming too. Ooh. But my big thing for them, my big ultimate plan is I got a bunch of them in the shelf behind me over here. My big ultimate plan is to create a bunch of diorama set pieces for different locations and different things, different themes. I don't play Warhammer. I'm not like a Warhammer player. I just love the characters and the world that they've built and all that kind of stuff. So until somebody pulls me into that world and forces me to play and become obsessed in that way, my obsession at this point is just making look cool things from that world. So one of my things that I'm looking forward to doing is I bought this polar bear from the dollar store, and I'm fully making that like an armored polar bear that this guy's gonna, like, one of these guys will be riding with like frosted like capes from the tundra kind of thing, like, and I'm gonna create an entire like snow-scaped a diorama just for the scene with some guy riding a fucking angry looking polar bear. Like, this one is way too happy and cute right now. He's got to look fucking epic and crazy, and I want to put like this big saddle on him. I want to put like augmented metal bits on him and stuff like that. So just a bunch of those kind of plans that I have as fun little projects throughout the summer because I got the time now. So I'm excited to
Are you aware
make
that
and build some stuff.
in the world of 40K, before there were Space Marines, they were called Thunder Warriors, and they did like ride like bears and stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. I've stumbled into something that actually could be part of the lore.
Yeah.
I know Dave and Steve both are very into the lore as
Oh, I know.
didn't
And if I
mean to be.
So if you need reference, people,
Ugh.
I know too, at least.
like I just started studying up on some of the stuff a couple nights ago, and I trying to fall asleep, so I started reading, and then it got interesting, and I just kept reading. Now I feel like much like Dave is like maybe I'm not meaning to
Yeah.
be into the background and the lore of it, but as I read more, I'm just like, wait, who's that guy? Okay, why did that happen? Okay, so why are they mad at this person? Why is this happening? Okay, now I got to find out what this means and what. Okay, now what saga is this? Now what legion is this? Like, it became really interesting, and now I'm worried I'm just gonna just keep going and going. But my goal and my aim is mainly on the beautiful dioramas and amazing things because these figures are so incredibly cool. And unlike the McFarlane ones, which are just way too big and clunky and like they're just not intuitive and they're not great figures, these ones are incredibly good at posability and I feel like the customization from them is just the world is vastly bigger on these ones. And because of the size, because of the scale, I can do a lot more in a smaller box as opposed to the McFarlane ones, which would be something huge just to make it make sense. So I'm really looking forward to doing some cool stuff.
Are there non-painted versions where you can paint it yourself?
So far, no. So far, they're all painted, but I'm going to be happy to be doing some customization and repainting. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. What they've done with most of these, they're beautiful. They're very well painted. They're very well executed. But I like a little bit heavier weathering. I like a little bit more shadowing. So there's going to be a lot more work that I'm going to want to put into most of these characters. Any of the ones that I'm going to put on display, at least, will definitely have some work done to them for sure.
Very cool. Are you going to do some macro photography for it? Make like those like
I don't know. I mean, I at this point I have 3 diorama sets that I want to create. 2 involve bears because I bought 2 bears. And then I also purchased 2 of the vehicles as well, like the motorcycle and the ATV. So I'm going to see how I can incorporate those, or if I'm not going to incorporate those, what my plans will be and everything. But I don't know. I just love the idea that I want to do some photography stuff with it. I want to have some fun. Just make it look cool. Make it look awesome.
I'm actually surprised that they're as cheap as they are.
They get really expensive.
They do, but for the size of a miniature and the quality of that paint job, that's very reasonable.
Well, that's why, and I've just been so I bought a bunch just the other day on AliExpress because they had a crazy sale where they were like compounding coupons and just like tons of them were adding up, and I ended up getting 4 of the Space Wolves for $89.
Damn.
Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, they're beautiful figures. So I got 4 of those. I have this guy here. I have another 2 that I've ordered that I'm waiting on. I've got 2 packs of Ultramarines coming and a couple of vehicles. And then on top of that, like, they have other series that they do 1/18th scale with characters that don't fit in the Warhammer world but are just cool. So I bought a couple of those too because they were on sale. So I'm not sure if those will just be a separate diorama or if I'll just do a cross of worlds kind of thing. But it's just the quality, like, once I got one in my hand, I realized how beautiful and how amazing the quality is. And yeah, like, $50 to $60 for one figure sounds a little bit crazy, but I can totally understand why. Like,
It's actually
the detail, like this it fucking comes out like this beautiful little blade.
That's awesome.
Like it's incredible. I have multiple hands and helmets and guns and different pieces, and then people have been doing customizing of their own. There's 3D prints available for these characters and toys. So there's so much stuff already out there in the world. I can't wait to just find what I'm going to do with it. That being said, I mean, like, I was looking around and seeing what they have, and some of their larger and more prominent, important figures are like $300 to $400 per figure.
Well, they're probably also bigger too. So if it's a Primaris, which is like the leader of like a chapter, right? They tend to be bigger and
he's like
more detailed.
you get a good inch on everybody else or more. Like it's pretty impressive. I was looking at the figure they made of Horus, and he's fucking massive, like just gigantic.
Yeah, some of the Primaris are also like just all like on average they're like a foot taller than a regular Space Marine, but then some are like, oh well, this guy's like 13 feet tall. And you're like,
yeah,
what?
Just a fucking giant.
Why is he like, yeah.
Yeah. But on that note, like Dave, I watched what is it, the Space Marines 2 trailer, and fuck, that looks incredible. It looks awesome.
It's making me mad because I don't want to like 40K. I prefer StarCraft, which obviously was inspired by 40K. But because the game is 3-player multiplayer, it's like the entire campaign, and then there's like jump in and out missions, and it's Saber Interactive, who also did what's the that's not Left 4 Dead, it's World War Z, the video game, right? Which is more based on the movie than the book. And so they took all that tech of rendering like thousands of zombies on screen, and now they're doing that with Tyranids.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna love this, and people, I mean, it's a different company, but some, there's the Vermintide and what's the other one? Whatever the 40K.
No,
I don't remember what it's called, but like it's the 40K Vermintide. And people loved those, and I'm like, Back 4 Blood was right there. Back 4 Blood was real good, and everyone shit on Back 4 Blood, like, it's not Left 4 Dead, and then all these Left 4 Dead clones came out, and like Space Marine 2 has a lot of Left 4 Dead elements in it, especially with the hordes, and like you can just drop into missions. It's not just like, and it's fully playable co-ops, and I'm like,
yeah,
you're just talking about a game that's already there. It's just that this one has a coat of paint that makes it, X. And there's different features, obviously, but it's, once again, we were just talking about Midnight Suns before we went live. People, for some reason, don't like games with cards, even though it's the same thing as just picking a set of skills. Like
Dark Tide.
But you know what?
It was Dark
Tide, yes.
Yeah.
Dark Tide. Oh yeah. Oh, I fucking remember that game. Yeah. No. One of the things that I find though is like, I remember Dying Light, Left 4 Dead, like zombie games and stuff like that. I really got into at one point, but now I'm not interested in any zombie games. I don't want a zombie game, and I don't want anything zombie. So you can slap a coat of paint on something and say it's a new thing. I love the way it works. The functionality is going to be what I want it to be anyway. If you're giving me a cool aesthetic that involves gigantic armored men, like with chainsaw swords, I'm in. I'm fucking in. Like, that sounds awesome.
Well, we also got was it Days of Play or the Xbox Showcase? We did get an E-Day Gears of War prequel announcement.
I don't have an Xbox, so that means nothing
I
to
don't
me.
think that's gonna matter. Because there's rumors of a Halo Combat Evolved, so original Halo remaster coming out for PlayStation.
Yep.
And more like Sea of Thieves, right, is moving to PlayStation because there's not enough Xbox consoles sold out there.
Yeah.
And Game Pass is not where Microsoft needed it to be monetarily.
I mean, they're putting COD on it now, so
yeah,
they're trying to push it.
Like they wanted like 100 million concurrent users, and they hit like 20. So I wouldn't be surprised Sony's putting stuff on PC. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft just starts putting stuff on PlayStation. I was talking to my friends. I was like, how cool would it be to play Gears on?
I would be fucking happy as shit because Gears of War is one of the few franchises that I was really sad to leave when I switched from Xbox.
Yeah.
So I would be very happy to have a Gears saga coming to the PlayStation. I'd be so fucking thrilled.
Yeah,
I want it. I love Gears.
Gears was such a good damn game.
I've never owned an Xbox, but I've played all but I think Gears 4.
I haven't played Gears 4 either, and I've never owned an Xbox as well. Damn.
We should play Gears 4, Eric. It's got Rahul Kohli in it.
Oh, I did not know that. I love him.
Yeah, he's the foul-mouthed Space Marine. As he does.
As he does. So personally, I was talking about
yeah, Eric, what's good?
What's good for me,
Eric?
Is
that
man. I'm part of a Patreon called Galactic Armory, and not only do they do cool Star Wars helmets and props and stuff, but they also release miniatures every month. So you can actually have a miniature tier, or you can do the higher tier that does both the props and the miniatures. So I've been
Which
printing
you
off,
are doing.
which I'm
You're
doing.
doing. You're
So
doing that one, of course you
so
are.
I've been
Attaboy.
so I've been printing off stuff like this, which is the I broke Dave, I think, which is the LAAT trans.
This is
Yeah.
my Lego LAT.
I love it. I love this thing so much.
This is
honestly,
my
that was a really
favorite-
cool ship. That was a really fucking cool ship.
It's the fucking Black Hawk of Star Wars,
Yeah,
is what it is.
for
It's
sure.
the fucking, like, it's the Huey, baby. This is my favorite Star Wars design, period.
Yeah.
Like, it's so badass.
I printed it a little bit back heavy, so it sort of falls back when I do it. I also got to repaint it properly.
You can
and
add some weight to the
weathering.
front.
Yeah, I'm gonna put people up there, so
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
add some weight.
Oh, god damn it. There's Yoda and
okay,
Anakin,
yeah,
and the other side has, I forget her name. She's the green Jedi master.
Luminar Unduli? Luminari?
Maybe?
Yeah. Or Barris Offview, one of those ones.
I don't know. But
You know I'm right with one of those names.
Probably.
Scott, you like,
And
you can,
I-
like there's a little thing to hold, actually. You're supposed to like hold it by this.
Oh, that would be cool. Then I
people,
can hang it.
people actually
yeah,
like
could you
mount
hang it?
these.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to do something.
Because like in my son's room right now, I have like a snow speeder like hanging above like his
so
bed
cool.
because I've painted like mountains in the background. It just looks kind of cool. Like it looks like it's flying over the mountains and everything.
Mm.
I strategically aimed it that way because it's missing the glass for its cockpit.
Ah.
So because I bought it at like a Value Village or something, but so it just hangs out there. But it looks awesome. So like I love the idea of just hanging ships,
Yes.
like everything. That's awesome.
I also
Dude.
just printed this, which is
Son of a bitch! Yeah.
I love this. And they're having a competition for the end of August where they're like, make a diorama and we'll give you a printer. I'm like, do I want to make an army? I'm like, I was gonna do it anyways. I might as well take a picture of it.
So along the same lines as you, I recently did a Kickstarter for Crimson Wings,
Oh,
which is Games Workshop, like not a Games Workshop thing, but it's like it works alongside with Games Workshop's Warhammer series and everything. So a buddy of mine is big into his Warhammer games and everything, and I was like, I just got this Patreon, or I just got this Kickstarter thing going. I'm interested in printing a bunch of this stuff, so I'm just going to start printing it. I'm probably going to not have time to paint most of this stuff, so I'm just going to give you a bunch of it.
nice.
And so he's really excited to just get it, and he's like, there's no, like, he's like, what colors are they supposed to be? I'm like, there's no information. You're allowed to do whatever the hell you want. So he's all excited to come up with his own, like, Legion color scheme kind of thing and everything, but they're really cool. So I've been
Yeah.
printing a bunch of them. I got some like the tanks and some ATVs and some
Yeah.
buggies. I got some awesome soldiers and like giant fucking mechs and stuff like that. So like I've been printing a bunch of these miniatures, and ultimately my goal is to just create a diorama scene of this big army just like
Oh my
flanking
God.
across and something like that. Just because like whenever I used to walk into, so like I have a big love-hate with the Games Workshop world kind of thing, because when I was younger, I
Mhm.
remember going through a mall and there was a Games Workshop happening, and I just saw the dioramas, and I loved models and I was drawn to it. And I walked in, and never in my life had I felt more like wanted out of some place that like than there. Like they were so rude to me, and they were like, "What
Was
do you
this
play?
the one in
What do you know?"
Burlington?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I was
Yes,
gonna
it
say
was.
that's the one that made me turn me off of stuff too.
Yeah, like they were a bunch of douchebags. I'm like, I was a fucking kid. I'm like, I don't know what the hell Warhammer is. I don't know any of this shit. But instead of like trying to be like, oh, let us initiate you, let us talk to you about it, let us go. Instead, they're like, we're in the middle of a game. What the fuck you want? What are you doing? Blah blah. And like
Oh
they
my
were just
God.
so fucking rude to me. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, is this a store or is it not? I'm somebody in the public that's allowed to walk into a public store. Like I felt like shit. So I avoided them for years. But I was always jealous, and I coveted these beautiful dioramas that I would see in the windows. And then as I got older and as I got better at making stuff, and then I started looking at some of them, and I'm like, fuck, this is shit. I could make something way better than this. I could make something 100 times better than this. And so now it's like that time where I'm like, you know what? I think it's time that I finally do that. I finally start making the shit that I think would be way better to see than half the crap that they were doing.
It's funny because I went to that one when I was like 20 something. Like I had just gotten out of university. I was in my first paying job and I was like, I have money. I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to go to the Games Workshop and be like, what should I start with? What I will buy things. I have lots of money that I can just dispose of right now. And I went there and they were just like, and I was like, but I have money. I want to spend this money. Let me spend the money. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not spending. And
did you get to go back later and then they sold it to you? Like you had your own like Pretty Woman moment?
No, because
big mistake, huge.
Because I never did miniatures until just this past year. Like when I started 3D printing, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start, painting stuff. And the first thing I got was like I got a couple D&D like miniature sets just to try out painting, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to buy every paint now, aren't I? And I think I talked to Marcus here about paint.
Dude, like, so I have my in-shop paint setup, and then I have my travel paint setup. So I have an entire suitcase that is a mobile paint station ready to go, and I'm so fucking happy with it. I think I posted it on my Instagram.
You did. I did, somewhere. And I saw it. I was like, God damn it!
It's and I've been adding to it. Like I have a light that like clips on to the top of it, so you can like set up a little paint station and just paint like the miniatures. And like I can store, I think, up to 40 miniatures in there total while I'm actually like walking around, so I can just keep painting shit.
I started airbrushing not too long ago, and it gets really smelly. Like I wear the ventilator and everything, and I don't have a fan going out of my garage, so I'm thinking about making like one of the paint booths that just has
I mean, honestly, honestly, if you're going to spend the money in making one, just buy the little mobile ones that you can buy. I have
on
one
Amazon or something like that.
On Amazon, like I think they're $150.
That's not bad.
It's not. I would just invest in one of those because they're useful for a lot of different things. And then you can get the filters on AliExpress or something for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And they're good. And also if you like for miniatures especially, I bought for $30 on Amazon a mobile airbrush. Like it's the charge and it's just it's brilliant for miniatures because it's so low, it's low enough powered that it doesn't do too much on the miniatures. Like you have a lot more control. Whereas if you're using a bigger compressor, I don't know what your setup is.
I'm using a bigger compressor.
If you don't dial it in properly, it's just blasting too much air and too much power, too much paint. So like the little ones are actually so good for miniatures. I wouldn't use the miniature to do, or like that portable one to do something bigger. Like if I was working on a big creature or something like that, I wouldn't use it for that. But for like miniatures, or even for like like the masks, helmets, stuff like that, like it's good for small enough jobs. Like anything that you could do right in front of you in a tabletop setting it's brilliant. It's one of the best investments I've ever done for airbrushing.
Currently I'm using the airbrush for like doing like I have an airbrush gun. Like I have the gun handle one, and I also have the pen one, but I use the gun one for helmets, so just doing like the big sprays and like detail like that. So which is that's good for base coating. Like that kind of stuff I use for base coating. As soon as it gets to detail, it's all the small pen handle guns. I like the pen ones. People are like, get an Iwata. I guess I'm like, okay.
Yep.
You're like, yes, you should. But yeah.
Yes, you should.
So this will get painted. This will get repainted. I'm gonna have them.
Did you do those? Are those resin? Did you do those all resin?
This is FDM.
That's an FDM. Bring it close. I need to see it. That looks really good. That's on your bamboo, right?
Yeah, that's on my bamboo. There's a couple layer lines on the front here, but everywhere else there's like nothing, and I'm like,
honestly, like when it gets to like if you're doing something miniature scale and painting it, like if it's close enough on a vehicle, especially, nobody minds. Like when you're getting into miniatures, you want resin quality. When it gets into vehicles is like, I mean, why push your resin printer when you don't really need to? Just hit it on your FDM if you can.
Yeah, I'll print all the like the guys. Like I like because I've been doing Crisis Protocol ones too. So
fucking awesome.
Those are all the resin. Dave, he's muted, but I also like my Sentinel and stuff. But yeah, Dave, you're muted still.
He's yelling in his muteness. What's going on, Dave?
I don't know.
He's like, God damn it, listen to me. I want to say
okay.
something.
I think it's like it's showing me like I'm muted here on Discord, but in the corner of my window it's saying I'm not muted. So I click it, and then it shows me I'm muted here, but not here. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's
so
Discord.
I genuinely think that you two and Harcroft and maybe Steve should just do like a weekly, like half an hour show and tell podcast of like, what are you printing this week?
I would do
Because you
that.
guys are like, and maybe get Rark, because Rark's obviously
Yes, I would
like,
love Rark on there too. His
Rark's a
painting
really
stuff
good
is really
painter
cool.
and really cool guy.
He's
so like,
the reason that I chose the clear paint on this, because he did an Iceman where he just did like the blue.
But his Iceman's not even clear.
I know, but it looked
insane.
it
looks
looked
really
cool,
good.
and I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
What pisses me off is he's like, I'm going to do like a quick paint job. And I'm like, that looks better than anything I've ever thought of doing in my life.
Speaking of like paint jobs, okay, so I recently bought. I gotta show this. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, right.
This is what I mean. Because I want to watch you guys. Like, I don't need to be here. I don't do any of this shit. I paint BattleTech miniatures once every 2 years, and I do a bad job.
Okay. This mother. So I bought the fucking Captain Rex.
Oh
helmet.
yeah.
The paint job. I'm not sure if you could. It's fucking garbage. Can you see this? Like, it's like, I'm not sure if this is capturing it, but look at the rust, so-called rusting.
Yep.
Like,
I have never.
It is. And what the fuck? How do I turn this thing off again?
No one knows.
It like, so one of my like the build is fine. Like it looks great, like as a build quality thing. But the paint is shite. So like.
What's Eric grabbing now?
Yes, show me. Fuck the Acolyte. Why are we talking? We don't have to talk about the Acolyte. We just talk about all the cool shit we have and how we're pissed off and loving it all at the same time.
So
what is it, Eric?
because I love Ahsoka's troopers. When I printed this off, this is another Galactic Armory model. This one's free, so anyone can.
Like, what kills me is this looks like stuff you like buy. Like, these look like things you would buy.
So this
for
is
like $100, $200.
I got a whole bunch of Dragon Ball Z's up here that I printed because I just fucking always wanted Dragon Ball Z statues, and I never could find them at a good price anywhere. So I just fucking printed them and paint them.
Yeah, and I couldn't find these helmets on any figure. So I was like, I'm just gonna paint it on something I print. And I loved it. Like, it was a pain in the ass to print by freehand because I didn't tape it because I was a dumbass. But it was nice.
Back in the early 2000s, there was actually a miniature game, a Shadowrun versus game. Like, it was very popular to have like there were a lot of clicks games, hero clicks, and all that, right?
Oh yeah.
And there was a Shadowrun one, but the figures were like 10-inch scale.
Yeah.
So you're like, normally you used to games with, like Warhammer minis are like this big, and Mech BattleTech are like maybe like 3 inches. But it was like, no, it's like you had they were full action figures that you would just play a miniatures game with, and it was on like a 3x3 grid, which is actually pretty reasonable if you just had like but like nobody made terrain for that scale. But they looked so. I was like, this needs to, and like you could just take that figure, Eric, and like upscale like Shatterpoint or something, and you just play. They just have bigger minis.
That'd be cool.
And for people like me who are fucking blind,
yep.
You know what's also cool on the printing game? We're never gonna talk about the Acolyte. Is that they make like big Legos for like random things. So I made like a Helldivers Lego. Like,
that's fucking awesome,
right? Like,
that's fucking awesome.
I love 3D printing. It's such a cool hobby.
Oh, I love it so much.
And I'm getting commissioned for a Miles Morales helmet. I'm getting commissioned for like I just did Evil Dead weapons for Barbie size action figures. And like cool. I love doing this shit. And I want to make more money.
Are you doing modeling, or are you just like printing things that are being given to you, or if you're finding, or
I'm doing both.
Yep.
So right now someone has commissioned me as well some like pins from Star Trek that aren't made, or at least no one has found any STLs for them. So I'm just going to model it, and I'm just going to print it off in resin. And you know what? Dave's brother has sent me videos about electroplating. I think you were gonna do it too, right?
I have the stuff here. I literally. So just so you know, I'm not sure if you've looked into it.
I have.
I've now bought, because of the output machine, the electrical output machine, the solutions, the spray coatings, and the metal bits and stuff like that for the electroplating. I've already bought all of it. I've spent probably at this point about $500 to $600, and I haven't electroplated anything yet.
It's the summertime. It's getting.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for it because I got to move all my resin printers to the workshop outside. I got to do a cleanup and a setup out there. Once I start printing out there, then I'm going to bring that stuff in there so that I can make a mess if I need to, and then I'm going to start experimenting with electroplating, which I'm very excited to do.
Do you know what you're gonna electroplate first?
First electroplate is going to be a Star Trek comm badge. Yeah, because like Carissa is a huge Trekkie herself, so she wants one, and I've already printed her one anyway, but I'm like, I'm going to print you another one that's going to be better quality, and I'm going to electroplate it. So
it's funny because I got to see the Discovery finale like 3 weeks before it came out, and they had a new comm badge in it, and I was like, well, I'm going to model that tonight and print it for when I review it, and I'm going to have the badge on me, and I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm the first one on this. Yeah. Anyway, we're fine. We're talking about Star Wars now because we're going to talk about the Acolyte.
Oh yeah, right. That's what this episode's about.
Which is a series set in the High Republic era of Star Wars. That's about, and this it's a vast period. There's a couple 100 years.
Well, I think so the High Republic era, because I'm not big on the High Republic era, but we've already seen 2 characters who are in the prequels.
Yep.
So the High Republic era isn't that far away from. We're about 100 years. We're maybe less than 100 years because we've seen Kia Di Mundi, who's pretty young.
Yeah.
And we saw Plo Koon this week.
Plo Koon, yeah.
Plo Koon, yes, 100%.
We haven't seen Yoda yet, but Yoda would be a spry 800 years old.
Yoda is in it because he's in like other series and stuff. He's in the Young Jedi Adventures, which actually takes place a little bit before this series. Because when you get into the books, I don't know if you guys have read any of the High Republic books. It's about like, I think where they started, it was like 200 years before the Battle of Yavin. And right now we're 100 years before Battle of Yavin. In the Acolyte.
Okay.
For those who.
So that gives me an idea of where we roughly are in the timeline. Okay.
It's the height of the Republic, essentially.
Yeah. We're at the decline of the Republic right now.
Yeah.
The High Republic.
The Acolyte is kind of showing us, like, it seems like it's setting up the like how things could have happened for the prequels, like how the Jedi could have been in a position where all of that would have happened, why they would have, become this political entity that they weren't supposed to be.
I was going to talk about that. What do you guys think about the use of the High Republic? It's an era that we haven't really seen. We've seen it a little bit in video games. Because of the Jedi, the
Fallen
Order games, and it's been touched upon in other media, but this is the first live action. What do you guys feel? What do you guys feel about the actual, timeline?
I'm really happy that they're exploring that earlier timeline, because nothing is being craved more by Star Wars fans than like give us a good Knights of the Old Republic kind of thing, which. I don't know if we're ever going to get, right?
The creator of this series said that if she could, she would have done Knights of the Old Republic.
The problem is they know the backlash if they do it wrong.
Yeah.
If they piss off fans, like they know how badly it could go.
Yep.
So they're afraid to jump right into it. So I feel like this is kind of like, let's test the waters. Let's just reverse time a little bit and let's see how things go and how people.
Keanu Reeves isn't getting any younger to play Revan,
Right, exactly.
He wants to play him too.
He was literally Revan was modeled on Keanu Reeves.
Oh my god. So amazing.
And honestly, we could get like a Darth Bane like I read all 3 Darth Bane books. You could easily do that in 3 seasons or like
Darth
a movie
Bane
or 2.
Cool.
Like,
I want some Darth Nihilus. I want some Darth Nihilus.
There's no material that they could adapt from that time period.
Shut the fuck up, Eric. Shut the fuck.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, but what I'm like, my point was like, I feel like this is their kind of like peek behind the curtain of like, this is what we can offer. Do you like what we're doing here? And I I think one of one of their failings here is, Andor, for example, can stand alone as a good show, and it doesn't even have to tell us the time period it's in. We just accept everything that's happening and we love it. It's a great show. This show has to be clear about where it is in time, and they have not been. They just there's not it if I'm going to do the research and figure everything out, Eric, obviously you've kind of pinpointed where we kind of are on that timeline, but you've had to look that up. You've had to actually probably really think about it and really study. The general public will never do that. Can't do that, right? So it's about trying to make this accessible for the masses, because that's what it's going to take to get us a KOTOR fucking series, right? So if we I feel like this is one of those things where it's okay, let's if this is supposed to be give us the taste of that of the old Jedi ways and all that kind of stuff, you really should have set up a lot more on that end of things, as opposed to, I mean, don't get me wrong, we started off with action-packed assassination-y kind of stuff, which was pretty cool. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon fight was awesome. But I was just kind of oh, cool fight, and then the rest of that first episode just fell flat. And I was just kind of what the fuck is going on? Who are these people? Where are we? What the hell is happening?
It's funny because they have the little text at the beginning, but it doesn't tell you how far back you're going or anything. No, so you're is this just 15 years before the? But
if you're like me, I read it, didn't fully absorb it, was distracted by shiny things, and then fucking forgot that text even existed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that kind of thing. It's yes, sometimes you have to treat your audience like they're dumb 5-year-olds and hit us over the head a few times with this. Unlike, I mean, one of the things that I find kind of insulting in this, every time they show Coruscant, they have to have a label that says Coruscant on it. We know what Coruscant.
I mean, that's an issue in general and stuff. It's they show the Eiffel Tower and they have to be Paris, France, and you're yeah, I think we got that. They show the White House, Washington D.C. We're you could just does it also? Is that important?
Yeah.
Is that ever important in a thing? We're well, we need to know they're in Washington D.C. Why? Well, the president's talking. It doesn't matter where they are.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't matter. You're just showing a scene. Is Shakespeare well, they're specifically in this? He's no. He's here's a couple of characters. They're just having a scene. The scene is the important part. We don't need to. Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant.
Yes, 100%.
I think we're all sort of going to go on little rants in this whole episode.
There's going to be rants. I'm gonna say it from the beginning. Right now, I don't hate this show, but I see a lot of problems. I see a lot of little nitpicky kind of issues that are popping up and glaring at me.
So before we do all those, I just want to ask, are they issues of taste, or are they things that you think are actually failings? Because those are different. Because there's stuff I would do this differently, but it doesn't mean it's wrong, right?
No, and it's definitely both.
Same both.
Yeah, definitely both. Because there are some things that I'm just this is straight up poor production quality. Yeah. This is poor planning. Yeah, we were talking about it just before we woke you up, Dave. But there's stuff that is just straight up bad production value and production quality and that kind of stuff.
And then there's which is weird because this is a really expensive show. From what we've heard,
and it shows at times.
At times,
it does, but that's the problem. It only shows at times. I don't feel I feel like I keep getting pulled out of the awesomeness that is some of the we'll get into that.
If we're gonna go production values, if we look at Andor, which was much less than this, Andor looked good all the way through.
Now I think part of that might be because this happens, right? Andor had 5 sets, right? And so you get to invest a lot more in those sets because you use them for the entire series. Whereas this show, they keep doing a lot of we've had 4 episodes on 5 different planets.
Yes, absolutely. But because of that, now these some of these planets, some of these janky sets are starting to show.
Yeah.
And I'll get into specifics when we get into our today's episode or the this week's episode. But there's just some things where I'm really that's the best you can do.
I don't know if we'll go into specific episodes because we're sort of doing overview, but we will talk about production values in in more in depth.
All right.
There, Dave, did you want to talk anything about the era we're in?
That's fine.
Yeah,
I would say it would be cool because they kind of did that with like Visions, where they were just like, let's tell a story here. But because or maybe not, but they're telling a very specific story. Whereas in Star Wars, you could just tell a general story. You can be like, here's a story about a Jedi. Here's about, whatever you want to do. It's not tied to the Skywalker bloodline or anything, as far as we know. Hopefully
which I
not.
love. Yeah.
It's cool, but it also is saying like, well, we're gonna bring in, in the background, here's Ki-Adi Mundi, here's Plo Koon, like here's these. So it's like, are you doing those because you want us to feel like it's connected to that thing, or are you doing it because you're just saying, well, we're in Star Wars, right? So people show up in Star Wars. There's always a gonk droid, haha.
You're talking about the Rebel.
There
One,
was an
Dr.
old.
Baba?
There was like a there is. Oh yeah, Ponda Baba. Yeah, and Dr. Van Azen. Yeah. But like, because there is like a High Republic gonk droid in the first episode,
which I thought was cool. Neat.
Yeah, it is cool, and like different designs and stuff. Because technically, by the let's say the New Republic era, this is all old technology, right? So it should look different, but it looks cleaner. Is the funny thing, because it is current level technology for them. Even though it doesn't make any sense. It's all the same. Like, was the new gonk droid more efficient? Does it hold more gigawatts? What are you talking? Anyway, it's weird that you can't have everything at once, and people always seem to try to do that. Andor, I think, is the only show that said no. We'll just do this thing. Just do the one thing really well,
and it just happens to be in Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing I don't know, I got to bring this up because people keep talking about Furiosa, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, I gotta see that.
And they go, it's great, but because it's a prequel, it's missing something because we know how it ends basically. And I'm like, nobody said that about Andor.
Yeah.
Nobody went about Andor, and like technically we know how this show ends, right?
Yeah.
Because the Sith cannot be revealed to the Jedi Order, or we're gonna have a huge fucking upset.
Or they're
right?
not
like
even Sith. Like, we don't know.
I think they. I'm hoping they're not Sith. I hope they're just another like dark. Like I would just love Dark Jedi.
They're talking
We've literally
sex,
never
right?
had Dark Jedi.
Yeah.
This guy's the closest we've ever had to Dark Jedi.
Oh,
rest in peace. And we will never see that character again, probably. And he was so good. He was the best part of Ahsoka, probably.
He was.
We'll just see like the back of a character that looks like him, and we'll see him like perish unexpectedly.
Oh, no, he'll go into the Force. He'll go into the Force.
We had so many great stories of Dark Jedi in the expanded universe back in the day, because they've really focused on like Sith versus Jedi, and it's like I get that. That's like this. That's the cycle that George Lucas talked about. It's like there's a cycle of the Sith take over the Jedi, bring the balance, right? It's the beginning and the end. Things keep going, and the High Republic is like you're edging towards the darkness. But again, like, what do you want to do with that? What, like, we could just tell this story, and we don't have to see Plo Koon. We don't have to see Ki-Adi Mundi. These scenes we see in the Jedi Council, like, they kind of don't need to be done the way they're done. We could just talk over like hollow quarters, and nobody would complain about it. Yeah. Right? We could just. So, I don't know. Like, that's what we mean about like there's problems. There's things they could do differently. There's things of taste. And it can distract and it can detract from a show that could otherwise be better because they could focus their efforts somewhere else. Yeah. But I suspect, like many things, there's someone who cares deeply. As we know, the showrunner of the show apparently is a massive Star Wars fan, wants to make the best Star Wars thing they can. And the producers are there to go, well, could you do this? It would be cheaper if you did this.
Maybe
we should do this.
Character.
Well,
I mean, this is purely on me in taste for sure, but I don't know how other people feel and everything. But like, I'm also kind of just like, every lead character has to have some sort of droid companion, like every single fucking time.
They do.
Why? Like, what? Like, can't we just get away from that as a trope? Like, oh, Pip, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Who gives a shit? Just you don't need a damn droid.
The only ones who haven't in the video games were the Bounty Hunter games.
Yep.
Right. When you play as Jango Fett, you don't have a droid, and that's it. Ka-Katarn has a robot at like different times. Mostly he just has Jan Ors, who's a human. But even like everybody's favorite Dash Rendar has a robot.
Yeah.
So I think they just go, well, you have to have a robot. It's Star Wars. You have to have a robot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, well, there's another option. You can have a Wookiee, because there was Star Wars. There was a PSP game where you play as a Twi'lek bounty hunter, I think, or mercenary or something, and she has a Wookiee
Yeah,
companion.
like the
you
Han
play
Solo
as.
movie didn't have a droid, but it. Oh,
Yes,
no,
it did.
It did.
Yes,
have
it
one-
did. It had a droid that
But-
was in
but she
love with
came later.
Lando.
She
that
came
became
later.
the ship.
She came later. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
a
I forgot
weird
about that.
choice.
For me, the High Republic era, I love. Like, I think I read a number of the books in the comic
It's
books.
cool, man. It's a
I love
cool
it.
thing to go into.
The thing is that we're at the end of the High Republic, which is starting to feel like the Star Wars saga, right?
But
like,
that's probably when it's interesting.
Yeah, but we don't know.
right?
But no one has seen
Transitions are interesting.
Yeah, transition is interesting if you know what it felt like before. Like
I suppose that's true.
Like we feel the pull of the council already, like wondering how they look like in front of the Republic, right?
Mhm.
They're already worried about that. Whereas if you start at the beginning of the High Republic, they're like cowboys going across space, like helping people, which I wanted to see. I wanted to see that. That's the High Republic era I wanted to see. There has not been one lightsaber with a crossguard in this series, and they all had them in the books. Like they all had the cool like crossguards, but not like Kylo Ren.
I don't know if they're cool, Eric.
They look
I don't know if they're cool.
They look.
I just want you to think about the fact that if this is your crossguard and that's to stop you catch a blade like that.
I know.
That's the one place the lightsaber can go through.
I know.
Okay, it doesn't go through here. It doesn't go through here, but it goes through here. That's a bad design.
Okay. I mean, we still
if they were like triangle prongs or like I don't know.
We're gonna see a lightsaber whip soon. This series.
Fuck that! I can't stand those. I couldn't stand them in the EU. I can't stand them now.
She was Avenstra is one of the main characters in the books, and this was like 100 years prior to the series. So she was like one of the youngest Jedi Masters ever, which is funny for Anakin reasons. I like the era. I wanted to see I wanted to see it at its height and then its decline. Like we're already in the decline. So
Yeah.
like how are you supposed to care about it? You don't know what it's like before. Like I don't know.
Welcome aboard this sinking ship.
Yeah.
Don't you wish you were here before? Yeah, I do. I wish you.
It'd be like
But so what do we
starting
do, like-
Titanic at the sinking part and then not
Yeah,
knowing
you're
about
just
the
like,
people
okay,
beforehand.
It
Like,
does feel like a very Star Wars thing, though, to always be saying, which comes from Lucas and his influences of like sort of imperialism and stuff like that, of going like, "Hey, remember how good things used to be? Things used to be real great, didn't they?" And everyone just says that in Star Wars,
that's fair.
but
Yeah.
you never see it
I wanted
because
to see
it's a cheap thing to do, right? To say
Well,
say
also,
something.
I mean, how interesting is it to just show the good times? Like like you can show it for like one episode or something, but if you had an entire series of like everything going well, everything like just like, oh yeah, we're just policing the world and the universe, and everything's going exactly as we planned.
So
Great.
Let
But
me,
there's people who know how to do that. They can either write it or they can show it in like there are people who visually know how to do those things, but we never. I mean, I guess there's just not enough of those people to go around.
what's neat is that the books start off with this massive event that in the High Republic. So it's this Shining era, like I said earlier, where
Oh, it's the
They're-
Nihil where they're
yeah,
like
where they're-
dark force users and
but-
they're pirates.
but the first
they're
book,
space Vikings is what they are.
the first book ends with like this beacon of hope, which is a space station that connects the outer rim and the inner territories, and it explodes because of an event. I don't want to ruin it. And like this is like the High Republic starts, like the books start because of the Jedi trying to deal with this catastrophe. Like I think that's a cool thing. Like that would have been a cool series to see, to be honest.
Or like that, he could have just opened the show with that.
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool to see that station exploding, and then somebody just goes, "A lot of bad stuff's going to happen because that thing exploded,"
And then-
you're like, "Great,
and
that's
then,
great."
And then it says 100 years
Done.
later.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like it's like
That's interesting.
It's like a
Again, it's like poetry. So if they
Oh,
rhyme-
fuck off.
we talked about I talked about how this series is sort of seeing this decline in the High Republic, and we really see the council, but it wasn't really the council. They were the Jedi Masters in a situation room, and they were talking about how this we don't know who these bad guys are, but should we tell the Senate? And it's sort of showing this relationship that we see in the prequels of how they really are concerned about how they are seen in front of the Senate and people in general. What do you guys think about this relationship that's for like this PR-esque-ness with the Jedi Council? I think that's a weird, like, neat thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, this, it just seems like like, well, we've set it up that this is how everything was, Clone Wars era and everything. So, like, we have to just establish why and how that started, or like when that started, or it just seems like that kind of thing. I don't find it overly interesting. I don't find it like, like it doesn't draw me in. I don't really care.
See, I wonder if that's why I'm taking it differently, because I've read the books. Is I'm like, oh, they're starting to care about this, because there used to be Jedis who would just leave and fuck off and do whatever they want.
Wayfinders.
Wayfinders.
Yeah.
And
I think part of the problem is when we first, we all watched A New Hope when we were kids. Not all of us in 1977.
None of us weren't alive.
But the way Obi-Wan describes, is like they were peacekeepers, blah blah blah. He doesn't call them policemen. He doesn't call them investigators. He goes, they're peacekeepers in the galaxy. They travel the galaxy, blah blah blah. And they're based on kind of like Ronin, right? And they have this cool mystique. And we don't see the Jedi through that lens all the time, because the Jedi can be viewed through a lot of lenses. And what we keep seeing for some reason, because yes, Star Wars is political. Going back to 1977, it is political. It is
sure.
It is a parody in some respects of the Vietnam War, or satirizing it, I guess. It's showing us, well, this is supposed to be a group of warrior monks, right? Almost like the Knights Templar or something, who've sworn these vows to protect people, but they've changed. But we never saw why they changed. So we're seeing the decline. Maybe it would be more interesting for us to see, why did the Jedi become this political entity in the first place? Well, because we spent the entire prequel dealing with the fallout of them being that political entity.
But that goes back to the whole, like, why should I care about this when I know where it ends, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we know how the Senate works out for everybody, and we know how much of a horrible fucking decision most of that was.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, they're like, oh, we should talk to the people. We should report this to the Senate. We should report this to the governing bodies. It's like, oh fuck, that's just great. Oh, that's fantastic. This is opening the door for all the bullshit to happen again. Like we already know where it's going to. Like, maybe it doesn't happen now. Like, maybe things are actually, but like, we're not seeing that either. We're just hearing them talk about it. So there's not even like an interesting version of this political party system that we've seen, like, that works. Like, we're not getting a cool, fun House of Cards version of this kind of thing. Instead, we're just like hearing them talk about it, and we know how bad it will end later in the future. So I don't give a shit right now.
Yeah, so this should have been really the time in the books where they're separate and they don't care what the Republic thinks. Like, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that the Jedi have become a political entity.
Yeah.
But they don't trust political systems.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know in real life, political systems are something that the rich and powerful say, well, you got to trust this system to do something. But if you are not in the right position, you can be destroyed by that system, right? Run through that system. But we don't explore any of that stuff, which would feel very Star Wars, I think. Very OG Star Wars, to talk about, like, hey, like, this is an imperial system. This is, what does that mean? What are the pros and cons to that? Like, how do you actually view this? What if we make the good guys rebels?
Andor sort of does this. I think that's why Andor is probably... It's not probably. It is the best.
It's certainly
story.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's also underdogs.
For the series, I think it's the best.
Yeah,
Aren't underdog stories also always better and more interesting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Then, like, we're in charge. Like, we're powerful. Like,
yeah.
Like, Jason Bourne movies aren't interesting from the CIA's perspective. He's
That's
fighting the entire CIA. You're not like, wow, I'm really hoping the CIA takes care of Matt Damon in this one.
I think what's interesting about this series is that it really is doing something for the first time, and that is a murder mystery in Star Wars. Like, we get this epic opening sequence where we have, as is the way in Star Wars, a Star Wars bar, a cantina, and this assassin comes in looking for a Jedi, and she eventually fights her and, manipulates her in a way that ends up killing the Jedi.
It's a cool hook.
It
is a cool hook. A lot of the series is focused on well, how do you fight a Jedi? It's like, well, Jedi don't attack people who don't have weapons. So just attack a Jedi without a weapon. Which also sounds really dumb because, they're trained in unarmed combat and have the Force.
Yep. But, she manipulated her to, save that bartender and ends up killing Trinity, which is really, really
brutal.
Yeah.
Can we not have Carrie-Anne Moss the whole show, please?
I mean, we're going to see her again. We've obviously seen
flashbacks
and all that, and we're gonna find out what happens at that temple because obviously we've only seen one perspective of it.
Yeah.
But what did you think of this being a murder mystery? We'll talk about the individual characters and their journeys in a second. But starting off with this massive fight, like Kill Bill, where they killed, didn't they kill Vivica A. Fox in the first 15 minutes in one of them?
Of Kill Bill or Star Wars?
In Kill Bill. In Kill Bill.
Yeah, Vivica A. Fox in Star Wars. Yes, she was killed immediately. she was in the wing.
But yeah, taking a big name actress, and someone so well known and being like, oh yeah, this is the person that we kill.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of a murder mystery in Star Wars, I think, is brilliant. I think that's a great idea, and like Dave said, that's a good hook. That's a good way to get me into this show, and it worked
for a while
until it didn't. It worked until it didn't. It was oh, this is cool, and then it went in a different direction. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm still watching, but the part that drew me in was immediately squashed so damn quickly. I was. it was over.
The show does suffer from what all of the Disney Plus shows have been suffering, is that they kind of started as a movie, and as a movie concept, you're like, yeah, that sounds fun. That's a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they go, well, we could add a little more, and you're like, okay, well, this could be a show, and then they don't write it like a show. They write it like a longer movie. And then cut it at the worst times. They stretch it with as if they were just doing that, and they went for a very, 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 very long run. They went on a very, 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 very long journey. It feels like there's no substance to these stretching points. It's incredible that we used to have the 24 episode seasons of shows, and so they would create filler episodes that are way worse because they didn't have time to write them. They would focus on writing other stuff. And we would go, well, at least we got 9 good episodes of those shows. And you could kind of cut out all this other shit. And now we're like, well, we got 9 episodes. I guess we'll cut out 4 of them.
Yep. Yeah. Well, me and Marcus were actually talking about episode 4 just before we went on air and how much the issue with episodes in this in Star Wars series, not just this one, but every single one that we've seen so far, is that it's so inconsistent with the lengths of episodes that I feel like they're just we need 8 episodes. We've filmed this much. Let's just cut it. Like Dave said, it's weirdly cut in times.
It's so weird because you have a model of, let's say, Daredevil from Netflix, which has varying episode lengths, and every episode is fucking awesome. And sometimes they're 38 minutes, and sometimes they're an hour and 5, because each episode was this has a job. We're going to have somebody write it to its fullest extent, and it does this, and it moves all this stuff forward. And these shows are like episode 4, I felt what a nothing burger.
Yep.
What the fuck, man?
Episode 4 was a teaser for episode 5.
There was a really cool shot that was totally ripping off Alien, and I'm like, that's awesome. Okay, then you're over.
We were talking about Harry Potter.
Oh my god! Yeah. Oh,
what are you doing?
Okay, we'll get to this because we have to talk about that episode. Because
no, I refuse not to.
So. During the course of the first 2 seasons, we find out that there's these 2 twins. There's May and Osha, and they're sort of this I don't want to say dyad because that's what he did in the Rise of Skywalker type thing.
I
But
think
they are
they're
connected
quite
in the
possibly.
Force.
Yeah, they're two halves of the whole Force. It
Yeah,
seems.
yeah, and they've been showing this sort of yin yang symbol all throughout the series. So they're definitely playing off each other. What are your thoughts on these two doing that role? I guess that's where I was really just going with this.
It's fine.
One's a former Padawan, one is the assassin.
It's fine. It's an interesting dynamic, and I don't think they're doing a bad job with it. It's it's tough because we don't know a lot of things.
Which is weird because we're halfway through the series.
Yeah. I actually felt like it would be cooler if one of them was dead by now. Because then the Force would be out of balance, which would be really cool. Because it's pretty obvious that like they're supposed to represent, obviously one's light side, one's dark side.
Mm-hmm.
But like they both, it's not like one is like pure good and one is pure evil. Like they still are just two people. It's not like the dark side one is always screaming and angry and fearful or something.
And she's definitely shown some good, especially in the last episode.
Which I like.
Me too.
Actually, because like the point of yin and yang is there is dark in the light and there's light in the dark. Like it's not a whole thing. That's why there's those two little dots within the symbol. But I think maybe the show is going towards the idea that like the Force is becoming out of balance. So it's sort of weird that we haven't explored that, but I think it might just be the fact that we kind of have to binge this show. It might just be one of those shows where you just wait to the end and then binge it, and we're just unfortunately stuck here watching it week to week.
This uneven show.
Yeah, unbalanced like the Force.
Yeah. I have a couple things about it. I mean, like I said, I loved the idea of this murder mystery, and then 20 minutes in, oh, I have a twin. Well, fuck. Okay, I'm out. Like
I
at
mean,
that
they could
point,
have revealed her later. That would have been cooler.
But I mean, like,
yeah.
Like even if they revealed like that, like there was like you didn't even have to reveal that she knew she had a sister or there was a sister. Like I don't know, like you could have done it in such a way that it's just like you give me 2 episodes of wondering what the fuck is she, like 2 personalities. Is this happening?
Is it a force projection?
Is it a force projection? Is she like night sleeping and killing Jedis? I don't fucking know. Like what is going on? I would have loved just a little element of the mystery of like what's going on, but instead, right off the bat, we're like twin sister. Oh, fuck. Okay, fuck. Like it ruined that part of me, and then like so then I just stopped caring.
Yeah.
Also, if you're gonna do twins in this day and age and stuff like that, can't you just hire real twins? Like, why are we putting somebody and just having them do the same thing?
How would we not have a tattoo on one of them to show that they're different for the eventual fight when they fight each other?
I did think I'm like, well, in real life, there is a thing that happens where twins that don't know each other end up with the same hairstyles and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's kind of neat. So like, I don't hate that, but also you think it would be easier to hire twins because then you could shoot scenes of this, like you could have second unit shooting stuff with someone else.
I love Amanda.
You know,
I think she's a phenomenal.
She's great.
She the actress. Nothing against the actress. Like she is a good actress. But like it's just one of those things where I'm just like, there are a lot of talented people out there. Surely there are twins that could have done this role and could have like
brothers, we know are classic, classic, good twins.
But like, I mean, again, that's more of a taste nitpicky kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fault the company for making that decision. Maybe she was just clearly the best actress, or like whatever strategy called for it. Whatever, I don't care. But I'm more upset about the fact that in the first 20 minutes I knew that there was a twin sister and this mystery has already been solved. Like that part of it really bummed me out pretty big, and I was just like, okay, and then I just kind of coasted through the next couple episodes until we're here looking at scraggly face.
it is a wonder of certain things, especially in episode 4 when we're kind of led to believe a character is another character, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Are they doing a good job of saying like look over here while we misdirect you over here?
No.
I can't imagine so because it's never fucking worked before.
And it's very apparent in this show.
Like Disney
both.
Plus is just every Disney Plus program that tries to do that does such a goddamn bad job.
Yep.
I mean,
Of trying to do classic M. Night Shyamalan shenanigans.
Well, I mean, we are so used to waiting for a turn. We're so used to waiting for something to be revealed and stuff like that. So they're like we're already expecting something. So I can
So
sympathize that it's
undermine
hard.
it, you know?
But like that's what I mean. Like there's better ways of going about this to make us go, oh shit, I didn't see that coming.
like
So far, I have not been surprised by anything in this show.
I agree with this so far.
Like there's been nothing that has been like, oh, fucking crazy, holy crap, that's awesome. Like nothing. There has been nothing that has like made me like sit on the edge of my seat, go, oh, here we go. Nothing.
Yellow lightsabers.
And it huh?
Yellow lightsabers, the only thing that made me go.
We already
"Ooh."
saw.
I've seen yellow
Yeah, that's
lightsabers.
true.
It doesn't matter. I know that the Jedi Knight Temple Knights or whatever have been a
Sentinels,
thing.
yeah.
Like I don't need to see that. Oh my god, they have yellow lightsabers. I don't fucking care. Look, Balin's got a fucking orange one.
That's fair.
That's the best one, by the way.
that's
Orange
true.
is the best.
It
I
is.
honestly, that is probably the coolest lightsaber that's ever existed, and it's on a character that we'll fucking never get to see again. And like,
So I love the idea of twins, but like Mark is saying, like they revealed it way too early.
Yeah.
Like even when she was fighting Indara, which is Trinity's character, not Carrie Ann Moss's character, she pulls off the mask and is like, "You're not supposed to be alive." Like they shouldn't have shown the scar. Like it would
yes,
have been
exactly.
such a cool thing to save for like halfway through the season. while
It's
we're still
really
trying to-
weird. Yeah, they have all of these things they can do, and they go, "Well, let's not do that." You're like,
Yeah,
what?
because what is the
Why?
point aside from maybe that's what her hair was doing the entire time? But like, why do they have the same fucking hair minus like some extensions? Like they have the exact same fucking hair.
Well, like I just said, yeah, sometimes that happens with twins,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but it's in no way a interesting plot point. It has no bearing on anything. Like there's no reason for it to be
It's
there.
easier for production.
Like it would have been so much cooler to be like, "Oh yeah, the hair the same because they're the same person," and then you
But
find
it's
out
also
that it's
easy for production to just put on 2 different fucking wigs.
fair.
Yeah.
That's just as easy. And they're already going through the trouble of adding extensions every time she's fucking made.
Mhm.
Like why?
I don't know.
So we go through the first episode, and Indara dies, this first Jedi, and we end up going to Coruscant, where Master Soul has been informed of this. He's the teacher who had instructed Osha,
Yeah.
in her time as being a Padawan before she left, or was kicked out. I think she left, right?
She leaves. She doesn't cut it basically.
Yeah.
She's a little too old. She's not. Yeah.
Whatever.
Which is weird because those people become like librarians and stuff. Like they have jobs for those people. Like it's
Maybe
very
they
strange
did
that
in the High Republic here. Who knows?
they did. They totally did.
I don't
There's
know.
jobs for people, and sometimes they just cut those people off from the Force.
Yeah.
As well. Like there's a bunch of shit they can do, but it's Star Wars is so inconsistent
Yeah.
with that.
So Master Soul ends up getting Osha, and they start this investigation into who's killing these people, because we get Indara dies first, and then the guy from Game of Thrones, what's his name? What was his name?
What?
Torben. He was from Game of Thrones. He was one of the Targaryens.
Oh.
Yeah, he was
Really?
yeah, he was which one was he?
Fuck.
He was Tommen Baratheon and Martin Lannister.
Oh, you know why? It's because I'm thinking of the current, like the older version of him, who's a different actor.
Mm.
There's like the young version and then the old version, and it's the young version who played Tommen.
Yeah, and he played the older Lannister. or
They are
something.
two different people.
Oh,
They
okay.
look so different.
Yeah.
So if they're the same actor,
Oh no,
That's-
Torben.
that-
Torben's it was the same actor for both the young and the
that's
older.
really actually then that makeup's really
Well, no,
impressive.
okay, no, but okay. I'm going to disagree on that because this is one of my problems where production value has a problem to me. Old Torben I was
He's
just
got
like,
a beard and I can't.
no,
I'm
but I
blind.
looked at him and I was just like,
Blind.
okay, so I'm gonna, what's his name? I got the list of the
Corbin?
actors here. Dean
Charles
Charles
Chapman,
Chapman, right?
yeah.
So this Dean Charles Chapman looks like a fucking kid. He's got a baby face. Like, to me, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, obviously I do because I did watch Game of Thrones, so I've seen him before. Don't fucking remember.
That's
He
right.
showed up for the first time, and she was there to try to kill him, and she's all that's happening. And the entire time I was like, is that a fucking kid in a beard? Like, that's all I thought about. And then
Three
they
kids in
did the
trench coat.
shot of like when he goes back in time and everything, and I'm like, oh, that's why they needed the young version of him, and then they just, because he has to be a young Padawan, so they just had to fucking put a beard on him
more
to make him
young
look
of him than
they cast him on the young side for the young purpose as opposed to the old version, and then rather than just cast someone who was older that looked like him or do a better job of the makeup. And again, I went to school for special effects makeup. You can do a better fucking job than what was there. So with the limitless money that Disney likes to throw around on sometimes, like that, to me, it was a shite job.
Yeah, they made
Like,
him bald.
it-
They give him a scar and the like scraggly.
Well, they
beard.
also they give him a receding hairline as well.
But he did not, like, that's, to me, that is not even close to being
I didn't see.
convincing enough.
There were no
on it.
wrinkles and stuff. Like it was
No,
weird.
that's what I mean. There's no actual age. Like one of the
Jedi
like,
age slower, guys. It's only been like
Ugh.
10 years. Okay, maybe he's a millennial. We age better. Okay, we don't go in
We're
the sun.
both
We drink a lot
we're
of
all
water.
millennials in this group.
Yeah, but I'm like the middle millennial, and people think I'm like 22. Apparently,
I am the older millennial. Elder millennials as well.
yeah.
am I, yeah, okay. Continue.
Continue. Yes. So we.
I don't know. Here's the thing. It worked on me, but like I was kind of like watching the episode while.
But Dave,
like,
you're also half blind.
Also, well, I'm not half. It's both eyes. To be fair, I was probably playing Midnight Suns while watching the episode
That's
as
fair.
well.
This is not a.
You do not have to pay attention that much to the show,
Yeah.
unfortunately. There's a
Yes.
lot of. So yeah, if you want a show to put on the background,
yeah.
the Acolyte you could do worse.
So we find out that they're on this mission to find out, Osha's, sister. Like they eventually find out that May's alive.
They think she's wanted, and then they get her, and like,
And then they find
obviously
her.
it's not her because someone else died while we had her.
Yeah. And
Right,
then they
like-
eventually see May, later.
Which is so funny, like in Star Wars, where they're like, well, she couldn't have killed them. I saw her the whole time. And it's like, you literally have magic powers.
And then, so that's the first 2 episodes. And then for some strange reason, and this baffles me, they do a flashback episode in the 3rd episode where they go back to the events where, from Osha's perspective, where they, the Jedi's
They're
end
being
up,
raised by Night Sisters.
and
and the
Jedi
Jedi
come
are clearly
in.
bad guys because
Yeah.
you can't raise kids to have force powers outside the Jedi. But even
Only
though
we
they're
can
not
do
in,
that. So give us
they're
your
not-
children. We
they're
will
not in
kidnap them.
Republic
Okay.
space.
Yeah.
Because
Can I have my child back later? No, they belong to us after that. Like,
And then the
the Jedi
fire
are fucking
happens, and then
all
the
that
witches
stone lights on
die.
fire,
and then-
so we're left with all these questions as to how can stone be on fire.
Yeah, and then those witches were dead, although they were definitely not on fire. Did they die?
They
from the
also
sys-
definitely didn't have lightsaber like cuts or anything on them.
I- yeah,
So,
are they actually dead?
and if it's from Osha's perspective, why is it a top-down like crane shot?
was there a lot of Kool-Aid distributed? Like, we don't know. What did you guys think about this? Like switching to a flashback
It's
so early. in
better
the season?
fucking pay off if you're going to do this and
I
not
agree 100%.
I
Yes,
agree
Dave,
with
keep
that
going, keep going, Dave, keep going.
if you're not going to pay it off later, that's going to be a huge mistake. If the show, they could do a really good job of which they haven't yet, of going, here's that episode from this perspective. Oh, next episode, now it's from someone else's perspective. Except that would have been boring as shit too.
Yeah.
So it should have been 1 episode showing it from probably 3 perspectives, maybe May, maybe Osha, and then like the Jedi, and then maybe at the end of the series we see it from somebody else's perspective. But just seeing it from one of them right now, we have a ton of questions that are unanswered, and then we had a nothing burger episode, which means we're definitely like, if we have another flashback now, we're just going to be
that's
like
what's going to happen too.
A plot, B plot, A plot, B plot, so that we can combine those plots at the end. But you're doing a really fucking shitty job of it because you're spending 40 minutes doing these other things. That's too long in his story.
Yeah.
And the questions are not particularly interesting.
No.
Because you're trying to paint the Jedi as bad guys, but we're adults. It's just factionalism. It's just factions. Like, it's not like the Jedi are oppressors, and it's not like the Night Sisters are oppressors. They're just they're basically, you're saying, hey, religions fight sometimes. You're like, oh, do they? Oh, no kidding. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, no, wow. We don't like the way you teach kids to use your magic powers.
Yeah.
Great. Could you make it more interesting? Could you add something to that? No. Well, I got bad news for you, because the real life version of that is way more interesting, and we have like 7,000 years of history of it that we could dig through instead of your made up one. So
Yep.
It's not enticing, unfortunately.
I mean, I have nothing to add to that. That was actually pretty.
Yeah.
For me, it like Dave said, it better pay off. I'm assuming it's going to have to in some way, shape, or form, specifically because as I look at the cast list and everything, it says how many episodes people are in, and the mother is in 5 apparently. So like Mother NSA or whatever is in 5 episodes.
That means she has to be in every single episode
from this point on.
Yeah.
So that being known, I'm assuming either she's alive and she is the.
Do we want to just maybe do a quick prediction that maybe she's the bad guy?
Yeah, well, like
maybe
Manny Jacinto, who plays Kimir, he's only in 2 episodes, and he's been in 2 episodes now.
Also, if you look at Master Soul, he's only in 4 episodes. Does that mean he's about to die?
No.
So
motherfucker's dead. He's dead.
Oh my God.
I would like to predict spoilery. The last episode, they really make it seem like Manny Jacinto's character is the bad guy, like is May's master, right? So like May is like his acolyte, right?
I mean, he's sort of pushing her the whole episode to continue on her mission.
And that he could be, because she has like some idea of Sith teachings. Like she says things about like pieces of lie. So like there's Sith influence there.
Mm-hmm.
And that like, well, Darth Plagueis should be the guy right now, but Disney might not do Darth Plagueis. So it's like he is not he can't be like the Sith master.
Yeah.
So it's like they're pushing the idea, but like he's probably not going to be in any more episodes. And if like it's not a good twist, like they could go like, oh wow, they show us him, and then the master comes out later, and you're like, okay, that's pretty good, right? That wouldn't be a terrible twist. That like they're literally going like, yeah, this is obvious. It's so obvious that he's the guy. Wow, great twist, Disney. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, they're twist on a twist. All right, that's fine.
What a twist.
But because we know those things, and I guess most people are going to look that up, but because we're fucking nerds, we're going to do it. And try to predict and overthink and stuff like that. Like it maybe we're like, are we too cerebral for this thing? Like it's Star Wars. Who the fuck are you catering to? Like what like you're gonna go? Well, it's just for kids. Stuff for kids can be well written and well made.
Yeah.
We have evidence of that, and it's very successful.
Are you going through the list now, Eric, and seeing like
I'm looking at
episodes
episode,
I'm so disappointed that Soul is gone.
I'm not. I don't think he's that good of a character.
Indara's only supposed to be in 2 episodes, and we've seen her in 2 episodes.
Well, those people cost a lot of money.
But like, what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
Daphne Keen's kicking around. Daphne Keen is staying with us till the end.
If anything,
I know, but I'm just saying that that's.
I don't.
That's
think
what
she's well used in the show, but God, I hope she gets to come back as X-23.
Yes. What my problem with the Daphne Keen in this is like, first of all, like she started, and I'm just like, I wasn't interested in her Padawan. I wasn't interested in her character at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
they got her acting real flat too.
It's
right?
only the fact that I know who it is that I'm actually watching it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I know Daphne Keen as a child could do better than what they're putting her through right now.
It feels like she's getting the Hayden Christensen right now. Like, hey, could you be?
Yes.
Could you have less emotion?
Yeah. Do this, but less this, and do this, and do this. And she's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yep.
so I mean, shit.
I don't. It's I think. Is it just me, or is this show all over the place?
The show is all over the place and
Inconsistent.
which
Could there be anything more Star Wars?
I do
Than being
enjoy the show
inconsistent.
though, which is weird, but I just like
It,
it,
yeah,
it's also it's also the word.
I like the
I-
idea of it.
Yeah, me too. But I also like the idea of Boba Fett, the show.
Oh man, that
Like,
show had.
this show reminds me of Boba Fett because it's all over the place.
Yeah. Boba Fett though tried to just rewrite an entire character and fucking shot itself in the foot. This is trying. This show is fucking Power Rangers. This show, is trying to spark something completely new in all of us, and it's failing on all attempts.
Yeah.
You know, like this is trying to get us on board with an entire new version of Star Wars, and it's failing not because that kind of subject matter isn't interesting. It's because the way this one is being presented to us is, as Dave said, all over the fucking place. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of people like us talking about it in this way. Like for somebody coming in and hearing
the
this,
most negative people out there.
we're
People
definitely
are
not.
fucking
And what
hammering this show.
I'm actually going to say, I'm still enjoying the show in some aspects, but I can't call it a good show.
Yeah.
I can't sit there and tell you that Disney is really doing amazing things with Star Wars, like first Andor, then Ahsoka, then this. Like, I can't put this in any of those kind of categories because one, it's not done yet. Obviously, I got to wait. We got to see what this whole thing becomes. But if I was a betting man, you know, I would not put my money on this show to be one of the best Star Wars contenders for what they've created. It's not going to happen. There's too much going on. It's already. I feel like it's already lost itself, and so
there's a lot that has to happen in the second half of this series for it to be like, this is a great show.
And honestly, if everybody's about to die, it might be better that way. It might actually be better that everybody who we've just been watching fucking dies off, and we're left with two characters to actually care about. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
But do you actually care about any characters at this moment? I care about Saul. Saul's the only one I sort of care about because I sort of.
Well, that's my problem. He is the only person who's shown that kind of drive and that fatherly figure-y kind of thing. Like, he's the only person who's shown compassion and love and like admiration towards the people he's helped and the people that he may have left.
Of this show.
There's also one other character that I cared about, and that's Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, because he was so nice to little Osha. Like,
yes,
yes. And then,
but also, that's
a
classic waste of a cool character. They just classically wasted a cool character. You gave us this awesome look of this, like when they went back in time and he had that like shaved side of his head or whatever. I'm like, this is fucking cool as shit. I can't wait to see this Wookiee do something. I'm so excited to see how this pans out. He did nothing.
Eric and I,
nothing.
Same wavelength. Marge's gonna do something cool. No, it's off screen, baby. It's all off screen.
And what's
this
crazy?
This show would not be talked about. No one would be fucking mentioning the show at all if it didn't have Star Wars in its name.
Yep.
This would just disappear into the ether. No one would care. It would never get made if it wasn't a Star Wars show.
Yep. To be fair, this is better than Rebel Moon. And Rebel Moon got made.
Which one's Rebel Moon? Oh, Rebel Moon. Oh.
Okay. I was going to save this. I was going to save this for the end of the show. Stop looking to corporations for your art. This is not Walt Disney Corporation is not an artist. They do not make art. They make a commercial product.
Yep.
So you will every once in a while you'll get some good stuff. But 99% of the time, Warner Brothers, Matt Colville just tweeted about it today. He's screaming right now. Warner Brothers was sold because they were running out of money in 1966 to a corporation. They have not been artists since then. And that's every major distributor. That's Fox. Fox is now Disney, but that's Warner. That's Sony. Columbia Pictures is Sony. None of these things are artists. Why do everyone's like, A24 is so great? Yeah, because that's probably actually made mostly artists.
Yeah.
right? Like there's art stuff there. Blumhouse, those are artists.
love
Love it.
Blumhouse.
Love Blumhouse. Fuck yeah.
So-
Now they're making video games. Yes.
So
Fucking
so
so
all
cool.
of this, like, yeah, of course it's not great because all these fucking assholes are involved because they're trying to wring out money. And it's not like you don't buy the Acolyte, you get Disney Plus, and then you watch it on Disney
Well,
Plus.
oh no, just wait till the Pip droid toys come out.
Yeah.
Wait till like the Hasbro helmet of the Acolyte helmet comes out. Like
Yeah.
wait for these things because that's they're like a friend of mine a long time ago created a kids television show. It was called Playdate or something, and it had these really cute little puppets and everything. They pitched it to a bunch of different companies, but they were really hoping that Disney would be one of the companies that would be interested because they wanted to, piggyback off of some of the stuff that they had been working on. So they pitched it to some people from Disney and everything, and they were not interested until they heard, oh, these puppets are pretty much like product ready or something like that. They said something along those lines.
Ooh.
Suddenly the interest peaked. They were suddenly like, so show us this thing again, show us how it works. Oh yeah, that's really cute. Could you do it like this? Could you make it simpler? Could you make it for a child? Could you do this? They didn't care about the show. They didn't care about the idea. They cared about, oh my God, wait a minute, that is a cute thing. Oh my God, we could sell it to lots of kids. We could market it. It could be big plushies. It could be a small puppet. It could be this. It could be that. They saw the dollar signs in the marketplace value of it, right? So that's what they do across the board with all of this shit. They see, okay, here's a show. Yes, it's going to get us to another level of ethos and storytelling that we can continue to jump off of. Great. But also, what can we do that's going to be marketable? What can we do that we can milk for more money later? What can we put in our Star Wars park that will be interesting for people to see after this? Those are those kind of things that they're trying to push into these series around the creative people who are coming up with good, interesting ideas and good storytelling initiatives, and they're pushing it and funneling it down their throat, saying you have to put this in there, then you have to put this in there, then this has to happen, and we need this to be established from the beginning. So put this in the first episode and the second episode. Like this is shit that the corporations push in, and now we're just. Oh, fuck, man.
So here's the weird thing, because it worked in season 1 of Mandalorian, right? We all liked season 1 of Mandalorian.
Of course.
They had the products, like they had all this stuff, and you're like, that was cool. I like but the show was good,
The show was
right?
good.
But that
And
was
they-
also
and they
that was
highlighted stuff.
that was Dave Filoni and shit. Like that was before all of this started being seen as a money-making opportunity in the same way that it is being seen now. That was the first iteration of a Star Wars TV series, and they thought, well, let's not put all of our eggs in one basket. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we can still have an out here. Right? Mandalorian, much like Frozen. Did you know Frozen wasn't meant to be the
I don't know if
success
this
that
is
it was?
true, but we all know that, like they want people Disney Frozen, so it stops being about Walt Disney's head on Google.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
That's
I've heard that so
I've
many
never
times.
heard that before.
It's a
So
conspiracy theory. But what
It's so
like
funny.
what I heard from multiple sources from people working in the industry is Frozen was actually meant for them to test out their new snow generation.
Oh yeah, the volume
stuff.
was a test for for
like it was.
Mandalorian.
That's all. That was the point of that movie. They didn't expect it to blow up the way it did with kids, and when it did, they were not prepared with the toys and marketing that they needed to be prepared with to make all the money. So they rushed a lot of it, and that's why the first generation of Frozen toys are actually pretty shitty. It's a lot of like towels and capes and things like that. Like it's shit that wasn't actually ready because they weren't ready for it. But once they realized, oh shit, we're sitting on a gold mine, they started fucking digging it, and immediately were like, start fucking working on Frozen 2 and get plans for 3 and 4, get going and get Tom Hanks involved somehow. Like,
Really?
this is not really, but like Toy Story, like it's
That's
the
fair.
same thing with Toy Story. They see the opportunity. So Frozen was nothing. It was not meant to be what it is. But once they saw the dollar signs possible, then the second one became over marketed and over fucking analyzed. Now it still worked because it was still Pixar doing some good shit, but you can tell that they were like, okay, now we need to get this in there. We need to get this in there. Like they were still trying to amass a bunch of ideas that we can then market into products and ways of people spending money after they've seen the movie. Because they can't just bank on people seeing just the show or just the movie or just doing Disney Plus subscriptions. That's not enough for the company. Not after they spent 400 billion or whatever, or 40 billion on Star Wars as a name. They need it to pay way bigger in dividends. So they just have to see where are these dollar signs and where can we exploit it. So the Mandalorian came along. They weren't fully invested in it yet, but then it fucking became huge and people were like, oh my God. And they're like, okay, what can we do to make it more marketable? And then the second season and third season suffered. It became about Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian lore and everything. And not bad. It still was a good show. I still loved the Mandalorian.
I mean, everybody's big complaint, right, is that forcing Grogu and the Mandalorian back together is what really suffered, because it's like we already did that.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, we already got what happened to the whole bounty hunter part of the show.
We got one episode where he was by himself, and it was fucking badass.
It was badass. It was fucking cool. But like that kind of thing. Like I would have much happily seen, like, you know. Again, I think I've said it before, like I would have loved to have seen the Mandalorians like take like full on time breaks and like give us an extension of time, and then like have him like stumble upon Grogu in a different setting in a different way, and he's just like a little bit older, he's walking and has a little bit of like talk to him or something, like something else. But like we got none of those kind of interesting ideas. Instead it was just, well, we need people to fall in love with Grogu more, so put the two back together and like let's sell it like this whole daddy of the universe kind of story. And it still worked. It's not what it could have been. I feel like The Mandalorian could have been a way cooler show and a way cooler series, and you know, they left it to a point where they could still do whatever they want with it afterwards, but that also scares me. Disney's going to get grubby hands on it and be like, oh, you know what, we need the Mandalorian magic back, so let's put out season 4, or let's do a rebrand, or let's
doing a movie, right?
To end it off.
Well, there you go. Okay.
And but here's what I find weird, because this show hasn't done a good job of like showing off somebody's lightsaber or like a new blaster. Like we've seen like one new blaster, right? It looked like a fucking Nerf gun.
The lightsaber hilts look terrible in this show.
Right? We like the episode 4, we see the Jedi spaceship comes in. It's like a cruiser.
I like that.
And it has like a detachable thing, like the rings, the hyperdrive rings, like they had in episode 6 or 4, 3. Yeah. No, we don't see a Jedi.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Just 2.
So like the detachable thing, but like you barely see the ship. And I was like, well, if you're gonna like do that, show off the ship so you can sell your Lego set, so you can sell your toy, like, because we see it a lot in the Mandalorian. We see the Razor Crest, and then they went, hey, let's blow that shit up.
Oh fuck!
And so we can do a chrome, you know.
After HasLab spends so much money on the fucking Razor Crest, now let's give them this fucking cool Naboo starfighter.
It feels weird that the show, and like I expected the show to have commercial elements in it. Almost like, you know, just, you know, somebody reaches down for blue milk and they pull out a Cristal, Cerveza Cristal.
Cristal.
But it's kind of, like, it feels like it's even failed on that front.
There's only one marketable thing in this show.
Is it the helmet from the dude?
No, it's the little robot, like,
it's
pocket.
Oh, yeah.
It's Pip.
Yeah.
But what I'm also going to say is, when did they announce the Acolyte? Do you remember?
2 years ago, I think.
Way longer than that. If you go back to like when they did the whole the MCU announcing like, oh, the next 12 years is this. Right. The Acolyte was there. The Acolyte was part of it. Was Star Wars, and it said like Star Wars this. It's got to be before that. But either way, 20. Let's say 2020. That means they had it in production, or had scripts, or had an idea before that and everything. If they saw failings from Ahsoka or from any of the other shows, they then have to say, okay, well, fuck, let's not worry too much about this show. Let's just let it run its course. It's going to lead to something else. We're just going to let it slowly peter off over here. People will still watch. They will still buy. Like, they've already announced it. They knew that, like, people were excited for it, but like if it's that kind of idea of like, if I tell a bunch of people like, okay guys, I'm going to do something really cool, and everybody's jazzed about it, and then 2 years from then I'm like, oh shit, I told everybody I was going to do something really cool. fuck, I got nothing, but I need to do something. Okay, here's the cool fucking thing. It's really cool. It's really cool. Look at it. Look at it. It's really cool. It's really cool. But it's that kind of idea of just like we said we were going to do it. We have to do it. It's not what we thought it was going to be. Let's just quietly let it die. Like I don't know if that's going to
Well,
happen.
they did that with Rogue Squadron, right? Like,
well, that's supposed to be coming back. What's weird is that the High Republic, the marketing for the High Republic was really intense when it first started off. Like what 2 or 3 years ago. No, it's
books, comic books, right? Like
the Young Jedi Adventures. Like they really pushed it. Like this is the new era that we really want to focus on. And then for the first live action iteration to be sort of like all over the place. Yeah. And you're like, you could have shown, like I was saying earlier, that first novel would have made an amazing TV show. Mm-hmm. Like them just being like,
one of their biggest failings is just like completely like discounting all the Star Wars books that came before, all that cool stuff that could have been left in as canon or in some way canon. Mm-hmm. Like they don't even want to acknowledge that half of it existed. And like there's
but even the stuff they released for the High Republic, they just haven't even touched in live action.
It's like crazy because they literally could cherry, and they did in some like they're like, well, let's keep Thrawn, right?
Yeah.
And then like live action Thrawn was like, okay.
I like them.
It was like
from what they showed.
He wasn't that scary, you know.
They didn't really do anything with him in Ahsoka. Ahsoka has a lot of failings in it.
So you're like, well, so sometimes you're gonna cherry pick stuff. Why don't you cherry pick stuff all the time? Because I was just talking to one of my friends in my Discord about like they're remaking Final Fantasy Tactics finally, right? Oh. And my friend was like, why don't they just do a new Final Fantasy Tactics? And I was like, well, because you don't have to pay writers. Mm-hmm. You don't have to write a new thing, right? So it's crazy to me that you're like, well, let's write a new thing. It's like, you already paid. Like, not even you didn't. Someone else paid some. Like, how happy would that make people in Hollywood? Like the producers, they hate writers. Mm-hmm. They think they're useless. That's why they're trying to do AI crap. Because like, well, I can just have a computer write it for free. Okay, it's someone else already wrote stuff. Like some of the best authors of all time, like. You know, maybe not all time, but like, you know, people love Stackpole. People love Timothy Zahn. Like, these guys wrote books. You got the stuff. You don't have to take all of it. You could just take the stuff that works. And they're like, it's too hard. Let's what? It's very strange. It just makes no sense. It's so inconsistent. And then we get a show, and like all these people want to, like, if you were like, hey, do you want to be in Star Wars? You're like, absolutely, I want to be in Star Wars. I'll do anything in Star Wars. And then you're like, yeah, but you're going to be in like a middling version. You're like, I get it's still Star Wars, right? Like I still get to be in Star Wars. Like everyone's going to take their shot. It can't always be the best, but fuck, dude, like just try.
There's so many good elements in this show, but it's all just all over the place that I'm just like, every episode I'm like, is this going to be a good one, or is there going to be like at least a bunch of it good? Let's talk about the last episode, because really the fourth episode, halfway through the season, there's only 8 episodes for this series, and I don't think this could ever have a second series, right? This does not feel like a show that will.
This feels like a standalone. This feels like a one and done.
The best parts of this episode to me felt like when they were actually in Ireland.
Yes, I was
and like shooting outdoors.
We literally were talking about this.
It looked amazing.
Yes,
and then they cut to like their sets, and I'm like, that looks
so
incongruent.
Thank you, Dave.
It does not look the same at all.
Like Eric, I wish we had like a recording of what me and you had just talked about before Dave woke up, because that's exactly what we fucking said.
I was absorbing it in my subconscious.
You were absorbing,
You just heard us being like, you know what? When they're walking out on those vast,
it's the Lord of the Rings scenario. It's like Lord of the Rings had some beautiful shots. Everything that they did that was like in New Zealand is magic. It's gold and it's perfect. It's perfection. And then most of the if you get to the original trilogy, the sets are pretty fucking awesome too. Like a lot of the stuff that they built are fucking amazing. But if you go to anything from the Hobbit era, anything that is their CG or built sets are fucking terrible. And anything that they did live, which is very few and far between during that series, is great. That stuff looks good. Everything else looks like absolute trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this show is doing. Like we're getting this beautiful location shot, and we're like, oh my god, it feels so good. It feels so vast. It feels like a planet. It feels like this. And then we walk into this jungle-esque florist, and I'm like, the fuck is this janky ass shit? What the fuck is this? Like we're walking the yellow brick road. I can see a waving fucking background curtain behind there. Like it just.
We know the secrets of the fire swamp. We can live quite comfortably here.
There's a couple things in this episode that are really like that confound me, but also just from a Star Wars perspective. So we get through this. They walk. They're trying to find this Wookiee Jedi played by Jonas Suatomo, who played Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So they have this amazing actor who already knows how to be a Wookiee.
See, that even bothers me more.
Yeah,
like
I just read that up on
just
the
wasted.
IMDb.
Yeah.
And then we find out he's already dead. He's sitting in a chair and he's dead.
Yeah.
And like as they're going through this whole process, what's his name? Soul is talking to May, and he's like, you know what? There's something I'll definitely talk to you about sooner. And and you know, every Jedi that has said that has explained himself and not died immediately.
Yeah.
And then obviously we see Voldemort come down from the sky.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
We were talking
it's the xenomorph.
The xenomorph. You see the
xenomorph.
queen
No,
alien.
His helmet
he
looks
like
like a
floated.
xenomorph.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does look like a xenomorph, but he floated down and then like cascaded like as he was flying like fucking Harry Potter Voldemort Dementor towards her.
I will not let you besmirch.
The alien.
How
friend.
dare you? Yeah.
But okay, but on I'm just gonna
So help me. It hurts. So, like, how old are you gonna make yourself feel if people are fucking referencing Harry Potter when Harry Potter was referencing Alien?
Okay,
Fair,
but
fair.
what like you're on an Alien kick now, but like when I saw that mask, I didn't think of Alien. I thought of Naruto or something, or like some sort of anime.
I thought it was evoking. I'm sorry. What did the kids say? It's giving.
It's giving.
It's giving
vibes. Is that a
giving
thing?
vibes.
It's
Yeah,
giving
it's giving
Kylo.
vibes.
It's giving Kylo Ren, right? Trying to create
Kylo
some
Ren, like Knights of Ren, like
Yeah,
Knights
offshoots.
of Ren,
It's like
yeah, for
it was like a
sure.
Knights of Ren offshoot.
congruity
But like
between them.
But like never ever in Star Wars has somebody done anything where it's like no serious character, no like main villain or bad character or anything has ever gone into this realm of like I'm gonna paint my like a weird smile like war paint like like no one's ever done that. Now that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing, but it did really fucking take me out right away. I was like, is he fucking smiling? Is that what the fuck is he jokerized this mask or something?
Yes.
I mean,
that kind of,
Manny
like,
Jacinto.
like it's a cool mask. It's a cool fucking
The
helmet
Sith
mask
that
thing.
smiles, the Sith that
Like
laughs.
yeah, but later the Sith that laughs. Yeah, like it looks like that kind of shit. But that's never been a thing in Star Wars, so it really felt odd. It felt
Yeah.
really weird. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just very strange. I don't like it as a taste thing. If I'm meant to believe that this is going to be some sort of like Sith badass of some sort, or like a dark Jedi that is like really cool, why'd you put fucking a bunch of metal teeth on this thing?
And
So
Why
I
did you do
think-
like?
I think we've had a big failing in media recently of coming from someone who plays tabletop RPGs, where you go, well, here's a villain, and you kind of set it up to be like kind of scary, like kind of cool. And then you're like, well, actually, they're lame, and there's a cooler villain. And you're like, well, you just fucking shit on the heroes defeating that villain.
Yeah.
So, like, making the dude, like Kylo Ren being like a Darth Vader wannabe, actually makes him not cool.
Yeah.
Like, it fucking ruins him getting his ass kicked, right? Like, him failing. Because you're just a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Whereas, like Darth Vader is like, this guy's fucking scary. Like, this guy is fucking terrifying, and he hasn't actually done anything all movie. And then he just shows up and fucking kills Obi-Wan. Like, actually, that dude's fucking scary. Rather than
Well, I mean, just behind your shoulder there, Balin Skull there is just like he didn't have to do much, but we took him fucking seriously. He was terrifying and amazing and like awe-inspiring. I just wanted to know more. I just wanted to see more from his journey. And unfortunately, we're not going to again. Fuck hell.
What?
But go ahead.
What's weird about this is in all of the Star Wars that we've seen so far, we've always seen more and more of the villain. Like it could be the master, or it could be the apprentice. But this one, we've seen like these two like twins. That's all. But we don't know anything about the Master. Like, it would be like not seeing Darth Vader in all of the first.
Well, but there's a benefit to that because like the more you know, like mind flayers aren't scary in D&D anymore because everybody knows about mind flayers now. So like, the more you know, like Darth Vader was scary because you didn't fucking know anything about that guy, and this guy like could be scary, but because his mask is silly, you're like, maybe he's not scary.
The thing that bothers me more is that they're like both May and Kimir are both like, oh, he's so terrifying, and we're like, is he though? He lit a lightsaber once.
Well, we also have the benefit of like, I mean,
I don't believe them.
Scary? Could it be scarier than Darth Vader? Could it be scarier than Palpatine? You know what I mean? Like Darth Maul. Like those are characters we know pretty well,
I think,
and we've seen a lot because we've seen them. Whereas like two characters who don't sound that inept are going, well, this guy's kind of scary. You're like, well, yeah, but what's the power level you're talking about here? It's like two toddlers being afraid of the 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
What could have maybe helped is, this 28-minute episode could have been 5 minutes longer, and we could have seen part of the fight, and that would have maybe, given us something. Like we saw him flick May or Osha? Osha.
Osha. Yeah, it's Osha.
Off, and then he force pushed, and you're like, okay.
I mean,
but he force pushed the ground and like we saw them blast off,
cool,
and we saw
him pushing everybody was kind of like okay. But
okay,
we also saw her like May, the dark side one, like in a actually one of the cooler things we've seen in Star Wars recently, like actually using the environment, going, oh, there's like debris here, I can just blind everybody.
Yeah,
cool, great. Like, all right, but you didn't we haven't done anything. We get like that one cool thing, and then like that's it. Like we could have ended the episode in like a fight in like that like debris, that sand or that dirt field, and then like see the lightsabers. Oh my god!
Well, imagine how much more effective of a cliffhanger would it have been? Like again, I'm working on the assumption that IMDb is accurate with this information. If Soul's dead at this point,
I agree.
Right? Like if he's dead,
we're not even going to see the fight.
Like, wouldn't it have been to just see like see amongst dust and debris? You don't even need to this doesn't even have to be a like $1 million fight choreo kind of thing with lots of CD. It doesn't need that. We need lights flickering like crazy through dust where you can't see anything, and then just getting the slight reveal of Soul coming through and being like, oh yeah, get to and just like getting sliced and but something, right?
Okay,
no. So
I like the idea of seeing lightsabers in the dust, but I want to see the Master and Soul fighting just by lightsaber silhouettes, and then just seeing the blue lightsaber go off. And you see the red.
Yes.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
So this is a complaint. This is a complaint I also had about Shang-Chi, because there's a shot in Shang-Chi when they're fighting in profile against the neon light. It's the best shot in the whole movie, and it lasts all of like 2 seconds. I'm like, that should have been a 5-minute fight.
Yep.
Like right there.
That movie still has amazing choreo. Better.
100%. But
love it. But
you had it.
Yes,
fucking had it.
I know exactly the shot you're talking about. It would have been
Marvel,
so gorgeous to
why
watch.
Why is there not another Shang-Chi movie? Like by now. Like
because the first one didn't make $1.5 billion.
It made a shit ton of money,
but it didn't make $1.5 billion.
It is definitely one of my favorite of the Marvel movies. Like for action sequences and everything. Oh. Yes, the story had some stuff that I didn't really care for, but like I love. And then you tease this whole idea of like these rings they're doing something. They are something. They're more than what you think they are. Okay. But at the same time,
talk about stuff that isn't the Acolyte because it's better.
Yes, but also like going back to just that quickly about the Marvel universe, they're also ignoring the fact that there's a giant fucking monster coming out of the earth.
Yeah, Celeste. Oh my god, they fucked
up. So I'm gonna bring us back.
Yes, please, go.
Because here's the crazy thing: even though the show's been in development for about 4 years, let's say it finished filming last year. So let's say we'll give it 3 years. Okay. John Carpenter had his best movie, by most people's standards, is The Thing, right? Just in construct because he ended up an extra year of pre-production because of delays. So he had more time to work on the script, build sets, and all this stuff.
Yep.
Movies used to take like 3-4 years to write, which is why they used to be so well written. Nowadays you get like 6 months. So this show presumably had like 3 years to go through that. But because Disney's not going to keep paying a writer every year to do another rewrite, because we see that sometimes we're like, well, write it again, and then we end up with something like it's always like fucking awful because they rewrote it too much, or it's really good, right? Like Doctor Strange had a bunch of like Dan Harmon did rewrites to punch up Doctor Strange. All the funny bits in Doctor Strange are apparently Dan Harmon. Which makes sense. The guy's a comedy writer, right? Like you do that kind of stuff. You want to punch up something, you send it. You script doc. Like we do that. That's a thing studios do to make a better product. But Disney, I can only imagine. Like obviously, I don't know for sure, but that's what it feels like, right? Like when Kenobi got rewritten from a TV show, for a movie to a TV show, they just kind of added shit. They didn't spend another year going through that. Just like this show, I guarantee did not get within delays another year of work. What happened probably was somebody went, hey, I wrote the thing. They went, great. We'll put it to the side for now.
So
no, keep working on it. What did Taika Waititi say about script writing? He's like, all of his best, he's like, well, what I do is I write the movie, then I forget about it for a year. And then I look at when I delete what I wrote and I start over and I only remember the best bits. That's, not everybody's Stephen King and can write something really good, but like, so that's how you iteration is how things get better.
So one of the lead writers on this show was talking about this on Twitter, and she said that basically what she did is what they did is they would write the episode or write the series, and then they would take it to Disney and Dave Filoni, and they would be like, and then that's when they would be like, this is what we're going to keep, or you need to add this and stuff. Like we said earlier in the episode, and then they'd go back, and then they'd sort of just go with it from there. So there wasn't much of it doesn't sound like they did too many rewrites or, reiterations. And as the Disney Star Wars machine is going and everything is pointed towards these movies that are supposed to culminate the Mandalorian storyline, they need to have these products out before that comes out, right? If this is going to be backing up something that happens in those, or they need to show something in this so that they can, have a point in that movie. Like they all have these timelines where these movies have to come out in certain orders. And Mandalorian and Boba Fett are supposed to be, no, not Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Mandalorian and Grogu is supposed to start shooting soon because they want it out, I think, in the next year, right?
There's not enough time to write a thing. It's not enough. We know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like if this was written as a full series and then cut up later, like that's what it feels like. Is like they had the product, they just didn't know how to put it together and present it in a way that made sense to us. That's what hurts for me in this show, because I like a lot of the elements, but they could have taken out, like they could have made it more of a mystery. Like they didn't need to show us everything.
We might have too many characters.
Yeah, I don't care about that other that other knight. I don't remember what his name. I like him, but I don't care
the
him.
guy who took his shirt off so we had the shirt scene so that we could have a CW
I
moment between the girls being
Yord.
like, oh, it's like, is he single? And you're like, they're your Jedi. Like,
don't worry, he's dead now. He's only in 3 episodes.
Yeah. Like I like Yord. I don't know much about him.
Actually, he was one of the most interesting because he is the hardline character. He's
Agreed.
like, these are the rules. Let's follow the rules. And then you have other like Soul is very Qui-Gon. He's like, well, no, we can break rules. Like we can do this. Follow the will of the Force. That's an interesting dynamic in characters. That would be a great buddy cop Star Wars. Like the dichotomy of this character, like sort of Obi-Wan being constantly questioning,
like Lecky, she should be doing more with her master, right? We don't know the relationship. She's more talking to May than it May.
Is it possible that people just don't know how to write? Or is it that the producer, like both, like producers are pushing?
I feel that like they have ideas and then people are pushing things that have to be done, or things have to show up, or like
I'm gonna say something's gonna piss off Brit right now, but it's like it's people who want to be video game writers but then don't write. Where it's like, well, how do I become a video game writer? It's like, well, have you written anything? No. Well, then how the fuck would you become a thing if you've never written?
Video game
like, you
writers
have
are
to,
some of the hardest writers too, which is crazy.
you have to practice. You have to, like, I got good at writing because I wrote for 20 years. That's how you get good at writing. That's how you have to understand these things. So I don't know if it's, I don't know. Like good producers are writers. Good actors are writers, right? Like
and it's crazy because the creator, Leslie Headland, is an amazing writer. Like I'm
not, but there's so many. Well, Steve would hate it if I say it. It's hard to make things. Like it's hard especially when you've got all these other people who only care about money, and then you're trying to make art. Maybe.
I wonder how much like they were like, we need this in this certain amount of episodes. I wonder if she was just like, I want 6 episodes, and
they said 8,
and they're like 8,
and she said, okay. Like what are you gonna
battles
say to
are you
gonna
Star
fight?
Wars, yeah.
And not everybody's George Miller and knows how to fuck the studio out of more money, right? Going like, hey, if you want your movie, another $150 million, it's not done. Whereas what is like, if you remember Fox in the 90s and like early 2000s, it was like, hey, Alien versus Predator is not done. We don't give a fuck. It comes out in 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not done filming. Yes, you are. Go cut it. Hey, what was the Matt Damon, Bill Pullman cartoon? Titan AE.
I love that.
Oh my
movie.
God,
we're not done. We're not done writing it. We don't care. Well, the voice acting's out. We don't care. The movie comes out in 6 months. Going back to Zack Snyder. Why does Zack Snyder get work in Hollywood? Because he delivers movies on time and on budget. Yeah. That's it. It doesn't matter if they're good. Why did Uwe Boll get to make movies for 20 years?
Because he funded
delivered
it himself.
Movies on time and under budget.
And he funded it himself.
He did.
So for this, I think we're pretty much done talking about what we've seen so far.
Should you watch The Acolyte, Eric?
No. I want to know what your theories are. Like, what do you think's gonna happen at the end of the series? Are May and Osha gonna get together? Are they?
What do you mean get together?
I mean, are they gonna fight together? Like, are they gonna be a team? Are they gonna be one and then fight the master, or are they gonna fight each other? Is May gonna be good and then Osha turn bad? Like, are there things that
Hugo Simpson?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
wait a minute. Bart Scar's on the other side.
Well, we've obviously seen the incident at their home world from Osha's perspective, but are we going to see May's perspective?
Does
and then we
that
find
incident actually matter? Is the thing?
Yeah.
Does any of that matter?
We'll see. We'll see if any of that pays off. If any of it matters. If anybody's going to care.
Do you want to do any predictions? Like, do you care now?
I have a hope.
Yeah.
I have a hope, and that if it's a Sith, which I don't know if I only hope it's a Sith if this is true, okay, and that this thing is a Sith, and they have this. Oh my God! The Sith are back. We have to warn people. But we can't tell the Republic, but we have to warn the Jedi Order. And it's sort of like the end of Rogue One, and they're like, we gotta fucking go. Except this time they don't make it out.
I would like that.
And so that's why the Jedi are blindsided. Because anything else seems like a waste of fucking time.
Like they just think it's a sect, a different force.
They're like, it's a Jedi. No, it's not just
problem is we already have characters that make it past this point that they've introduced, that they've shown in, and like Plo Koon's there. We know.
But Plo Koon is not like on the planet where they are right now.
Yes.
Like the rest.
Clearly, everybody on this planet just all the
rest of this series
are fucking dead, except for Daphne Keen.
Yeah.
This planet is isolated. They have no communication capability. It seems the rest of this series could be. It's not going to be.
No, it's not.
Let's say the last episode. So let's say 3 episodes are literally like the Acolyte hunting them down in the fucking woods.
I would love that.
Killing them off one by one.
If they built
it's not going to happen,
the fucking woods.
But it would be fucking cool.
Well,
and then and then May uses like the moth to fight back or something, like, because clearly, actually, that was a cool moment when they were like, it's attracted to the light. It was attracted to her because she is the light.
Vernestra is not on planet, and we see her fighting in one of the trailers with her whip.
Listen, you said, I hope that would be cool. It's not going to happen.
She's going to show up with her whip.
And then die?
and then die. Which would be amazing because she's one of the main characters in the High Republic.
Unless a fucking Sith does a mind wipe, I don't know how this could end well. Like in an interesting way.
I just fully expect them all to die.
I want them to die. It'd be cool to see a slasher flick with a bunch of Jedi. That would be scary. Watching something pick
That's
off
what I
Jedi.
thought this was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be something scary because it was called the Acolyte. I assumed it was.
Yeah, when you're like, it was okay. There was a cool fight at the start, right? But like, and then the guy drinks poison, and you're like, all right, fair enough. He feels bad.
That's what I want to know. I want to know
weird.
what they did enough, like bad enough that he was like, okay, I'm gonna die because I fucked up. That's what I want to know.
It is, yeah. Like, it doesn't feel like it could be that bad unless they just outright murdered those people, which it doesn't seem like they did.
Trinity's bad.
Trinity bad.
She sees things from a certain point of view.
Trinity bad.
So, should you be watching the Acolyte? I'm gonna start with Marcus. I was like, which one first?
Okay, I mean, if you are a Star Wars fanatic fan and you just want to gobble up every bit of Star Wars things
and you
that
want
get made,
something to bitch about,
absolutely you should be watching The Acolyte. If you don't really care too much and you're just kind of looking for something to just somewhat enjoy, but you don't really care about the outcome and you don't really care how it's connected, you don't care about, then sure, watch it. Again, if some of the subject matter interests you, watch it. Why not? If you are somebody who is looking for a deep meaning and something bigger, something that connects and makes something amazing happen in the Star Wars world, I mean, I haven't seen everything yet, but I'm going to hazard a guess that no, you don't need to be watching this. You probably shouldn't watch this. I'm going to watch the rest of it because I've kind of set myself up to watch the rest of it, and I just need to have the answers that I want answered. I'm sure half of them will not even be touched on.
Don't worry, we'll talk about it in a month when this series ends.
Yeah. But if you are in any way interested in the idea, because the problem is, when I heard The Acolyte, I had a different thing in my head. I had other notions of different storylines, and I honestly wanted to see like an entire order of acolytes and stuff like that. Like I wanted to see something completely different than what we're getting, and it's not necessarily bad, but it's just not what I was expecting. And just,
I will tell you what I had in my mind when I get to mine. Remind
all right,
me.
but
have you read the Darth Bane books? Because The Acolyte
I've-
actually would be a great title for like the Darth Bane
Oh
trilogy.
yeah, you're right.
no, I've
right.
not read the Darth Bane books.
That's
no.
not what
Yeah,
I was thinking.
he
either.
starts as like a slave in like a mining colony, and then he escapes, and and then he joins the Sith.
See, that sounds
Order.
fucking amazing. That already sounds like a better pitch.
Well, remember the guy who wrote those 3 books and the Revan books and created Revan and created Darth Bane wrote Mass Effect 1 and 2, and he wrote Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Like,
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Drew
There you go.
Carpation, really good.
Isn't he Canadian too?
He is, yeah. He's
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Edmonton
he's
because it was BioWare.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. If you're interested, watch it. But by no means does anybody really have to watch it.
Dave?
If you're like many people in this world who, at the end of the day, after a long day of work, you want to sit down and just put something on and turn your brain off, yeah, it's probably fine. But you could also just watch Law and Order
Doom, doom.
or Jeopardy.
Dun, 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 dun,
Like,
dun,
at
dun.
that point, does it matter what you're watching?
Hmm.
I also thought we were going to talk about The Boys tonight because season 4 or episode 4 of
fuck
that.
hell.
We're gonna talk
Because
about
you could
we'll talk
you
about
could
the
just
boys
watch
later.
The Boys. You
We're
could
gonna
just
talk about the boys when it
Here's
ends,
the thing.
or
Here's the
halfway
thing.
through.
The
No,
Boys.
let's
I'm
talk
gonna
about
say,
when it
it's
ends,
not
'cause-
been amazing, but it's better than The
I
Acolyte.
love
It's-
the boys.
I love the boys. I love the boys so much, and I have like so many inside tracks. I have friends that are working on it right now that are
Nice.
like, well, and it's
Have
Have you
such
read
a
the
good show.
comics? Because the comics are quite good.
Yeah.
I have, okay, I read the first couple comics, and then that's it. I never watched
Yeah.
anything back. So like, I never read past I never really read like Herogasm was a genuine surprise to me.
Oh, it It would still
watching.
surprise you if you read it.
Well, I know because no, after the episode, I went and read it, and then I was just like, "Oh fuck!
It's
Oh
way,
shit!
it's way more.
They cut a lot of stuff.
Oh,
They
yeah.
kept a lot out."
They had to.
But then also, like, I know the people that were working on Gen V as well, and
good
Gen
show.
V.
I love that show.
You have no idea what is missing that was supposed to be in Gen V.
I do.
And there's a lot. It would have been so fucking good. But again, budget, time constraints, casting constraints, a whole bunch of things changed what they were doing on Gen V. Still awesome, still a cool show, but it could have been so much better than what it is. And
didn't I talk to one of your buddies about the puppets at your birthday?
Yes.
Yep.
I think so.
I do know one of those stories then. Yes.
Yeah,
any other
fucking
things to say,
awesome.
Dave? About
I'm going to say we should do one of two things. If you haven't watched The Boys, probably go watch The Boys instead.
Go watch The Boys.
'cause
In
I've
general,
said
go watch The Boys.
It's not worth watching this show yet. That might change, but I think as of yet, it's not worth investing your 4 hours or so.
Mhm.
And and if you want something to watch and you haven't already, probably go watch Fallout.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Fallout was great.
Fallout is so good.
Personally, for me, I think about when I'm talking about this show or any show to regular people, I think about, would my wife watch this show? And right now, this show is steeped in lore that's not explained and or shown, and she would just get lost and get bored. So to a regular person, I would say, no, you don't need to watch this show. If you're a fan of the High Republic stuff that they've released so far,
probably don't want to watch it then.
It's hard because they're showing neat things, like they're showing little things that have been mentioned. Vernestra's in the books, and we get to see her in live action, sort of.
She's the mirror. She's not a mirror Luca. She's got green skin and like
and the
hell is that species?
So it's nice seeing that. So for the High Republic fans, you can watch it. For Star Wars fans, the general Star Wars fans, you don't need to. You don't really need to. It's something that would be cool, but really, we'll find out when we get to the end of the series if this is a Star Wars show you need to watch.
God, I hope it is though.
I hope it is.
Because we haven't had one for a couple of years.
So going back on what Marcus said on, like, when you heard the title and you're like, oh, this is gonna be something really cool. The story that went through my mind was The Force Unleashed.
I loved. God, I loved the Force Unleashed.
I think it's just a worse version of Dark Forces.
Well, the idea of having
it is sort of different, but it's sort of the same.
It's sort of different, same, sort of the same. I like the idea that Darth Vader had a Padawan of sorts,
a secret Padawan that he then had to disown and try to kill himself.
It's kind of a staple of the Sith, though, to have a secret apprentice that you will then take and go kill your master, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
to continue the cycle.
Which is awesome. But I mean, even like when it comes to the Force Unleashed, like I loved. I genuinely loved that storyline and that character.
The epicness of Starkiller,
yeah, like he was so cool, and like just I still remember when that game was being like brought out, and they showed the pulling down of the
Star Destroyer
Destroyer.
Coran Horn did it first in the books, man.
That was so cool, and you could feel it in the rumble in the controller.
Yep.
Oh, I love that so much.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun, and it made me care again about these potential unheard stories, unknown stories, and stuff like that. Because I just had fucking forgotten. At that point I was like a little bit too like disappointed by. I think by that point I was disappointed by the prequels. Yeah. And now, I mean, if only past me could have told future me about how he would be so disappointed in the
sequels?
subsequent sequels.
It's so like Sam Witwer is so good. Like he's such a big Star Wars fan, and he's
so good. And then I mean, I'm so glad that he's at least been able to continue a career in the animation sector for them. But I want to see him on the screen. I want to see him do something. Nothing would make me happier than him actually reprising becoming Starkiller. Like that would be the coolest thing. It's never gonna happen. Just not gonna happen. But
he was in Ahsoka for like 10 seconds, which made me sad.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah.
I have a dope idea. Disney, call me. Yeah. Okay.
Call all of us.
You didn't
let's
pay
hash this
off.
shit out.
You didn't pay off Darth Maul at the end of Solo. I'm gonna say we have Starkiller dismantle Black Sun, and that's why they're not powerful enough. So, like, we're live action Starkiller taking on Black Sun, so that Maul's gonna survive, of course, because he has to go fight Obi-Wan in the end of Rebels. But just a movie, John Wick, but it's Starkiller dismantling Black Sun for Darth Vader.
Oh my god!
Because they don't want to acquiesce to the Empire. I could write that for you.
Call me.
I would a couple thousand. I'm cheap.
You know,
I'm not union.
We're gonna see the episode next week, and the episode next week for the Acolyte, we're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this show's awesome." It's not gonna happen, but you know,
I mean, a show is never gonna be better than what you can come up with.
Yeah.
But what it should do is surprise you and be good in its own right.
Yeah.
And so far, week to week, we've been going, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sort of like, I don't know. I was gonna say sort of like the end of Game of Thrones, but that was such a fall from grace. This is just like, you know, watching Star Wars, watching this stuff shouldn't feel like a chore, and it's getting there. It's getting to be like, hey, what's our homework, guys? All right, let's go do. The internet wants us to talk about this. Let's, you know, so
yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, when we talked about Stellar Blade, like everybody was like excited to talk about something. So anyway,
show me a Wookiee fighting with a lightsaber.
In the dirt.
Yeah, show me a Wookiee fighting at the lightsaber. You offered me a Wookiee Jedi. You're not going to show me a Jedi with a lightsaber, a Wookiee one?
And not only that, like, you know, the idea of, like, Wookiees are always, you know, known for their strength, right? Like, I wanted to see what strength, like physical body strength, coupled with
the Force?
Jedi Force could do. Like, I pictured this thing like him kind of being backed up against a corner and then like grabbing onto a tree and just like gripping them and seeing his like claws like dig into both trees and just like fling himself forward with the Force, carrying both tree trunks and smashing it into somebody, like something to a level of like, oh my god, like, just give me some semblance of what would be different when something like a Wookiee is a Jedi versus a humanoid or like a little green whatever Yoda species actually is.
It would be like watching the Hulk fight, but with the Force.
Yeah, it's a little
like,
no, I want to see him take a tree, make boxing gloves out of them, and punch someone.
Yes, no, like, well, maybe not that, but maybe not.
Wookiees are strong, but they're not the Hulk. Okay,
but
no, but like, okay, Book of Boba Fett was terrible, but they gave us Chrysanthemum, which was at least that was like, we got to see a badass like gladiator Wookiee fight and throw people around and shit, and I was like, that was cool. I really wanted more of that, and like, the idea that, imagine that in a Jedi form,
but with a lightsaber.
With a lightsaber, like that's what I really wanted to see.
They didn't even show me his lightsaber. Come on.
Yeah, we got nothing. We got nothing on that. Like, what the fuck? It's like, oh, you know what Star Wars fans love? They love Wookiees and they love Jedis. Let's put a Jedi Wookiee together. Oh, that's a great idea. Should we show more? Nah.
How did he die? Oh, he was in a chair.
He was in a chair and he's sort
of rotating.
A slice. He's just, you know, you see the smoke, so you know it was like a lightsaber probably. The hair is singed.
Oh man, my best friend was over a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about like running a Star Wars D20 game, and I interjected with him the fact that I'm like, well, lightsabers aren't hot, and he's like, then why do they cauterize? I'm like, well, in A New Hope, it doesn't. They're cold. And then he's like, what about the prequels with like the lightsaber heats up the thing? And I'm like, it's friction. It's just heat
because he's
friction.
turning it.
Yeah. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it's Star Wars. It doesn't make any sense.
They use the Force. Anyway, let's stop talking about this show.
It's all the Force.
We will be back.
Brent wrote in the chat. He said, I'd just like to point out that at the 2-hour mark arrived, that Eric said it won't be a long show today.
My bad. We sort of went on like tangents and stuff.
It's always a long show on Geeks with Kids.
It's true.
Yeah.
But
a short show is an hour and a half.
We will be taking a small break in our scheduling. So we will be back in a couple of weeks, and we will be talking about this, and then we will be talking about The Boys. And anything else that's coming out? Deadpool 3. We have to talk about that.
I watched the Watchers last night, the new M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, is it good?
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that his daughter?
I don't know. It wasn't very
Like
good.
in it or like
No, the
directing
director,
it?
The director.
It was a pretty bad horror movie.
Anyway, we'll talk about stuff in a couple weeks. July's busy and such, so we will.
That's a bummer.
We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Your homework is to go watch Alien because it's really good.
Watch The Acolyte. Tell us we're right or wrong. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay, goodbye. Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.